What's going on, guys? My name is El De Niro, and welcome to another episode of the Midnight Hour. I don't know what number it is. We have not done any episodes at all this year, so this is the first one of 2023, and I left it very late, but something in me just told me that you should upload at least one podcast a year. I don't think that that's fucking unreasonable to request, you know? So that's what's going on here. This is kind of a year in review, but it's not really as thorough as like I have done previously, where I've gone through like every single album that came out that year and stuff like that. This is a much more relaxed type of episode that is honestly just a conversation with my friend. And the truth is, this was the only real way I could get myself to actually make an episode this year. It's been like a long year, just from a like career standpoint. I've had a job that has been so taxing on me. I've worked so many hours this year, and just my creativity has not been flowing at all. What time I did have off, I mostly spent like trying to relax and recuperate before kind of going back in. But the good news is I'm unemployed right now, so maybe there'll be some more episodes next year than this. I don't know. I'm not going to promise you anything. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Those of you who choose to listen to this, those of you who are still out there. Hope it's been a pretty good festive period for you all. I have spent like the whole time between Christmas and New Year's just being a couch, basically. I've done absolutely nothing productive, and I don't feel a single bit guilty about it, which is probably like the first kind of guilt-free vegetation that I've done in quite a long time. So I'm pretty happy. Right now, I've just paused this WCW Starrcade pay-per-view from like the fucking early 90s that I'm watching to record and edit this podcast. The podcast is already done, obviously. This intro is done in post, but I think you guys will like the episode. It's pretty casual. It's funny. You know, there's actually, I'll apologize in advance for I go on quite a lengthy rant about Twitter in this episode, about one Twitter account in particular, and that might be a bit negative for some of you in this kind of like what is typically, you know, a cheerful period or whatever. But I'm not sorry for the things that I said. I fucking hate that place. The song that opened this episode was One Last Fuck You by a band called Lucero. They're like some kind of cross between like southern rock and punk rock. The singer obviously has that real like southern sort of twang. I think they're a super cool band. They're like I don't know, they've had like 12 albums, but they released one this year called Should Have Learned By Now. It's probably in my top 10 albums that came out this year, and I also think that thematically the lyrics really fit the style of podcast, like One Last Fuck You, that's it, then I'm gone. And I ain't gonna be here very long, stuff like that. Kind of sums up what I'm doing here. But anyways, listen, I will let you get into the episode. I'm not gonna say leave a comment or this or that, whatever. But I do sincerely hope that you're all having like a really good sort of holiday like season, and you know, that you're not working too hard, that you're having some nice leftover sandwiches, all that kind of stuff. Really need to start scripting my intros, I think. Anyway, listen, let's get into the episode, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. I think I've made it clear all along. One last fuck you, that's it, and I'm gone. All right. I am joined today by Mr. Reigning, defending, most recent person I podcasted with, Miguel.
That is a long Mr. Returning. I kind of like that.
You thought I was going to use a different word beginning with R.
You were, which is good. Yes, it's good to be back. It's good to come back here to this little imaginary safe space, to talk
Yeah,
about what was and what will be, you know?
it's true. Yeah, this is the
Yes.
this podcast used to be like the forefront, like the melting pot of what was going on in the world, the most online version of pop culture. And nowadays, I really have nothing. I'm going nowhere with this,
Just a
but
couple of
it's
boomers now talking
yeah.
about things retrospectively and being like, "Oh, do you remember that?" No. Well, one of us has have to explain it to the other.
The two of
Um,
us like, have you seen that Vine where the and the
yeah,
kids
this
listening like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like a branch on a tree or some shit.
just came across this guy called Logan Paul. You ever heard of him? He
No, but
does loads of vines.
he sounds like someone who would never take advantage of a corpse
No,
for
no. Well,
financial gain.
yeah, yeah. We all thought that. We all thought that was the one thing he was bankable on. Like he will not do that. But alas, history has proven us to be wrong again.
I tell you one thing about Logan Paul. First of all, I actually unironically really like the guy. There's something about him that is just makes me want to root for him. I don't know. I think it's that he has like a genuine kind of like redemptive sort of quality within him where he, when he fucks up, I think he really does take it to heart and tries to improve on it or whatever, whereas his brother Jake Paul is a psychopath.
Yeah, and not to mention, you have to give props to these. I mean, obviously there's hundreds of thousands. I can't believe I'm about to give him props too, but amongst hundreds of thousands of YouTubers and people that did Vine, not only did they make it into a business, they managed to then become business owners. Obviously, because they got their little drink. I've never
Yeah.
had that little drink, but I hear it comes with Amazon. Hey,
Yeah.
um,
Nice cup of
but
Amazon Prime.
yes, exactly. Yes. So, and by the way, well done to them for overcharging for those fucking charged up super energy drinks. But oh, see, I'm going the other way now. Sorry. So,
Yeah.
being nice here. Yeah, he's a very good businessman as well. He gets it. He knows that people will pay money to see him get punched in the face,
He's a
so he can play
terrific
up.
worker, isn't he?
That's it. That I often say that everything is pro wrestling, which also makes sense because he's the current United States champion.
That's
Beat Rey
insane.
Mysterio.
He's
Yeah,
he's also really good in the ring, like.
yeah, miles better than any other so-called celebrity or famous person from the outside that's come in. That's all
Yeah.
very impressive. So I think yes. So I think what what the general public despises about. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's got so much horrible shit that he's maybe done and maybe
Oh yeah.
not done. But there's also a lot of people profiting off creating negative content about him on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is in itself a sort of weird self-fulfilling prophecy because if he does a bad thing, everybody else can then jump on that bandwagon and prop themselves up in order to gain, fame and notoriety off the back of that. But also, the guy is just a normal person who screws up like everybody else
Yeah.
does, except when he does it, it's on a bigger stage. So yeah, it's we're all just shades of gray, aren't we? You know?
This I wasn't planning on talking about this, but what you said there made me think about Mr. Beast and the reaction that he seems to get from left-leaning people online. Um, how familiar are you with him and his work and stuff like that? Like, I
I
know he's
don't
an
know what that
object.
is.
Okay, perfect. Um, he's like
I'd have to
a
have a computer to know what that is, and as you know, I only live in 1989. It's VHS. Is he on a VHS? I can get maybe.
it's true that it's insane because he's probably the biggest like individual YouTube channel, like a biggest like
Okay.
person. I think there might be companies or whatever that are bigger, but he he does so. It's really hard to explain, but it's also easy. I'm just lazy. Um, his entire business model basically is he creates content that is designed to go viral because he has a really good knack for kind of understanding the algorithm, the things that work and the things that don't, and the things that will boost you and all this.
Yeah.
So whatever money he makes from his channel, he puts all of the money back into the next video and the next project and stuff like that. So he runs it at basically like a non-profit style thing. But that being said, he's a multi-millionaire from different business avenues that have become available to him. But his YouTube channel is the main thing that he's known for, and his style of video, there's a really huge range of it, but the main theme on his channel is giving away money to people. So it started out like originally he was getting money from sponsors because his videos were getting a few 100,000 views. And then he would put all the sponsorship money into the content of the video. So, for example, I'm just going to make up a sponsor here, like Harry's Razors, let's say. Or like, here, MrBeast, here's like 20 grand. Can you shout out our product? And so he does that. And then in the video, he'll give the 20 grand to like a waitress as a tip, and that's the whole video. So that's the kind of style of content that he was running. And he started to do other things. Like he really branched out into, he like started trying to build like irrigation farms in third world countries and like planting trees, or creating like a donation system where people can donate, and for every amount they receive, they'll plant a tree with that money and stuff like this. And then
This sounds familiar. This sounds vaguely familiar now.
Did
he make someone blind? No, he didn't make anyone blind.
Yeah, okay. This is exactly
he did the
where I'm going
reverse
with
of
it.
that. Sure, tell me about that.
He made a video earlier this year where basically there is a curable type of blindness that people in the United States have, where they just need an operation to fix it, and
It's called being American, isn't it?
Oh, yes. That's right. It's
take
that cultural blindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yes,
so he like arranged this for like a bunch of people, and they're like they're on camera as they see for the first time, and it's like very emotional and like all this type of stuff. So this is where the tide, at least in my mind from what I was seeing, this is where the tide really started to turn against him, where Hassan Piker, who is honest
I'm
to
familiar
God,
with his work.
he is a fucking moron of like the absolute highest possible. Like, I have no idea why anyone takes this guy seriously, but they do. He's probably the largest left-wing content creator online. And he said some stuff about how MrBeast was basically just like exploiting them, and like if he really wanted to do good, he would just do it and not record it. Like, a bunch of shit like this.
The classic.
Yeah, like the way I see it is like, if he doesn't make this type of content, people, the amount of like, I didn't know there was such a thing as a blindness that you can just cure by an operation and all you need is money. Like,
it's money rather than
And I'm sure Hassan, in his like, he really does live in a different version of reality than the rest of us, and I'm sure that in his version of reality, the thing that he's actually angry at is that the government won't simply provide this operation for free for such a basic necessity. And I don't know anything about the like makeup of that type. I don't know what would have to be done, why it isn't done more regularly. I'm sure I could look into it. I know Hassan will not look into it, but that's the thing that he's really mad at. And the anger comes out at MrBeast, and like in his mind, MrBeast becomes the corporate machine. That's, you know what I mean? Like this like dirty capitalist money or whatever. But like in reality, I just feel like MrBeast is doing a bunch of like pretty cool, like I don't know if I would call it like, it's not like blank altruism, because there is an incentive for him, but like the world is better.
Yeah, like a monetary incentive. Yeah, because obviously that's how he makes money, to, even if it is to support the channel, but that is a means
like
to an end to make money. It's just he's not out there scamming kids on Fortnite. He's not out there opening loot boxes and saying it's completely free, kids.
Making
you should
a cryptocurrency or like
exactly. Launching his NFTs exactly.
But
so
it's so I genuinely do not understand the backlash. And another so he did another thing where he made a Squid Game style video.
Mm-hmm.
So people were participating in the very games that they do in the Squid Game show. I'm sure you've seen the South Korean show. It was huge.
Yes, yes.
And like, so like the people get eliminated, and he was still, when the people were walking away after being eliminated, he was still giving them cash, like handing them cash, even though only
Mm.
the winner gets paid, right? But the dude was
Yeah.
giving
Oh
everybody
boy.
money. He was like, there was like 5 people where he was just like, you guys can participate in the next one and see how you do, or I'll give you all like 2 grand right now. And like, they just took the money. Like, everybody here had a great fucking time. And the winner got, I don't even remember how much money it was, but it was like an obscene amount of money, that like a life-changing sum of money. And
Mm-hmm.
so the narrative for this from his detractors and critics was like, yeah, how this is such a like staunchly anti-capitalist piece of media, and you using this is so exploitative. Like the fact that you're kind of making a mockery of like it, and it, I just wanted to be like, lads, it's a fucking TV show about
Mm-hmm.
games, and he has used the
Yeah.
popularity of the TV show to make games based on the games in the show to give people money. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so like, what is your fucking problem here? Like, oh man,
Yeah. Because
the
at its core, you can't well, hopefully I got this right from what I gathered, but at its core, you can't really be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Because I'm guessing there's going to be a couple of avenues of criticism. The white savior one, I'm guessing
yeah,
he's done something in Africa or
yeah.
some parts of Asia, perhaps, like your Thailands and those sorts of areas, Vietnam stuff maybe. You've got the, oh yeah, the white man's coming in to save the day, blah blah blah, and then the secondary thing, which is the one that you mentioned, which is why would you, but to be fair, I am aware of it. By the way, you might be able to hear Norwich fans just screaming outside.
I
I don't know
can,
if
yeah.
yeah, come, yeah, well they won, so good for them. Um, but I was gonna say, yes, the second avenue is obviously people saying like, well, if you're gonna do a nice thing, why are you filming it? And I have seen content like that before when they're like filming a homeless man and giving him like $100 and putting the camera squarely in his face. Are you happy? Are you happy? Are
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
You better cry. You better fucking cry. Um, but it sounds like his content is just because it's so much of that I think obviously people always have a natural distrust of anyone who's nice for no reason. I think
Yeah.
especially Americans, because you're talking about the eye operation thing. You gotta
Mm.
pay, you gotta pay for your meds and stuff like that. But you're right. Essentially, you're targeting him like he's a lightning rod for everything that's wrong with like capitalism or the idea of money or the idea of using a game as a means to give people money. But like, I'll give you another example. So I don't know if people are aware of a British morning TV show called This Morning, and
I'm
in that
familiar with
show,
the time of day this morning.
it's usually on at 6 p.m. Weirdly not good. And obviously familiar with a certain man that was in those shows, um, the little aluminium colored hair man,
Oh, we're talking about, oh right, yeah.
Schofield.
Schofield,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
maybe this year, maybe last year, they had a segment on the show which felt proper Black Mirror, sort of like Uncanny Valley. Like, how did we get this far? In which they had like a wheel, like like a roulette wheel, like the Raw roulette wheel,
Yeah,
but there
yeah.
was no TLC matches. Um, and one of the things they had is they had like Grand, Holiday, a big TV, whatever the fuck they usually offer on these shite shows. But they also had one of the things was for them to pay people's electricity bills for up to 6 months. And I
Okay.
believe somebody did get that, and they were like, "Oh my god, I'm so pleased! Oh, thank you so much! I'm gonna get my bills paid for this next 6 months. That's brilliant, thank you." But obviously, there's such a dark side to that because you're going, "How do we get here? How do we get?" Because obviously, the TV show prizes are supposed to be things that are extra beyond what you've already got, and
Yeah.
to offer that as if it's like that is just as good, and it is. Obviously, it is. Having your bills paid for is fucking brilliant. We all know that. But the idea that's the only way to make sure you're taken care of is to like go through this show, call these people. It's classic like capitalism on decay, because just fucking pay everybody's electricity bills then, you know what I mean? But then
It's
it's the
such a
government that
basic.
should be helping.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is actually like that's much closer to the I never heard anything about that story, but that is really close to the 15 million merits episode of Black Mirror basically. Like you're just like trying to win a fucking game show for a basic human like necessity, you know,
Yeah.
electricity. Like Jesus Christ.
There's
Yeah, that's
something
pretty
quite
base.
dark-sided about it. Yeah, yeah. Um, or the ones where they're like, you can have a free house in Devon, and you're like, well, I don't want to live in Devon, and now that if I win this house, I'm gonna have to sell it really quick, and the price is gonna be really low. So actually, what you've done there is you sort of fucked me over with
Yeah.
burdens and shit to do. So I'm guessing it will be similar to Mr. Beast, where it's like you want to criticize him, perhaps because he's like, oh, who does this guy think he is helping all these people? Why doesn't he just do something proper, like buy a business or, pay for everybody on Earth? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's also probably something about themselves because they're like, well, what am I doing? I'm just criticizing. That's what I do, especially reactors and sort of like, those channels that watch videos from other channels and they're like, oh, I hate this guy. What fucking asshole.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the classic thing where it's like, yeah, Jeff Bezos has given $10 billion to like climate change causes, and people are like, oh, but that's just the same as me giving away $80. Like, have you given away $80? No. Okay, well, like, shut the
Maybe you
fuck up
should.
then.
Yeah,
Like
maybe you want to.
at the end of the day, irrespective of this man's wealth and resources, like people are seeing for the first time. Like, is that not a good thing? And sure, if you want to get
Yeah.
angry that it's not a basic requirement provided by a government, sure, absolutely. Like, go fucking
Hmm.
campaign in the streets. Quote tweeting
Yes.
MrBeast to talk shit about him isn't gonna fix that problem. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just fucking
It's
winds me
just
up.
part of that bubble. Hey, for example, I uh have no ill will towards homeless people. And
Oh, I
and
see where this is going.
and today I did feel like I was very much disrespected by a homeless person. Do I hate all homeless crackheads? No, I don't know most of them. If I have a bit of spare change, which these days, let's face it, nobody carries around any money. It's all
Yeah.
digital anyways, but if I have a bit of change, I usually give it to a homeless dude. Or if I go to a shop and they're outside and there's like 35p bread or like donuts that have been discounted, yeah, I'll give the fellow man, my fellow human, little bit. But this other man took my takeaway. I'm coming in hot now. This man stood in front of my door, spoke to the delivery man, took my food, and just ate it right in front of where I live. Okay? And, you know, but if he needed surgery, I wouldn't mind Mr. Beast helping him. I'm just saying,
this is
that was my food.
that's such
You
a
know,
Giga
that
Chad homeless person thing to do. Like he
that
literally
is,
stood there pretending to be you, then took the food and then ate it in front of your
yeah,
doorstep. Oh
yeah,
my
that is
god.
that is such an alpha move, isn't it? That
Yeah,
is it is really Giga Chad levels here,
you
you
can't
know.
help but
And
respect.
you got Beta Miggy over there. Is my KFC here? So I had to like call the delivery guy, and the guy comes over and he's like, "No, I did give it to you." And I'm like, "But you're talking to me on the phone now. I must sound different from this other fucking man that you gave it to." And he like pulled up in front of the road and just pointed at the homeless man and see, look, I gave it to you. Like, but that's not me, though, dog. That's not me. And obviously, you have to give a little code. For those who don't know here, when you get a
True.
delivery,
Yeah.
you have to give a little specific code, which I always tend to forget. I have to get my phone, blah, blah. He didn't even get that. And he just gave this homeless guy food, you know? As I said, this homeless guy's having a great day now. He's like, I've just managed to get myself some free lunch. Brilliant. But do I hate him? Yes. Do I hate all homeless people? No. But if I was on YouTube, if I was like a celebrity, or celebrity's a crazy word, a YouTube internet person, I made a video like this and I said, hey, by the way, this happened to me today. It's so fucking annoying. Downside, it's not that bad because I can just get my money back and
Oh, you would get
order.
slaughtered. This would be the
You
end
would.
of
That's what
your.
people would say, wouldn't they? They'd
Yeah.
be like,
Oh
well, those
yeah.
people on the street, they've got nothing. You know, they're out there in the cold. You know, it's Christmas. You should lighten up. And you're like, yeah, but that was my food.
This
If it was me choosing to feed him, fine. It's his fucking food, you know? But this is a classic tale of taking another man's food. And it's not on.
This is
I'm not
because
having it.
most those big socialist accounts on Twitter are like middle class white people who have had the easiest lives ever, and for them losing like one meal out of their day would be nothing. Like it just wouldn't
Yeah.
matter. It reminds me
Yeah.
of this one time, like some guy was like, "Man, I fucking hate living in LA. Like my car has been broken into like 8 times in a row. I've lost like 80 grand worth of stuff." And like fucking Seth
Jeez.
Rogen is like, honestly, lol, who cares? It's just that's just what it's like to live in LA. You're helping other people out and all. It's like, dude, you're so out of touch with reality. Like, Jesus
Yeah.
fucking Christ.
You're
Um,
right. Those middle class people, or maybe people even of fame and stuff, because they don't deal with the negative side of homelessness or drug addiction. They see it like, well, yeah, why should you, as you said, like, why should you care? It's just like you've maybe, the money that you've taken, it might have fed a man and a wife and his family, or two partners, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Might have fed some people. So why are you so upset? And you're like, yeah, but it's not so much the fact that I wouldn't want to give that money myself. It's just how the means of how they took it is not on. It's not
Yeah,
fair.
it's true. You
So
could also like if you change the narrative slightly, you would get more like if you were like, yeah, me, a gay man ordering my food for my
a
husband, and
gay
then it
foreign
was
man.
yeah, and then it was taken by this white
Immigrant.
guy, and then all of a sudden, whoa, this guy just stole food from a minority homosexual. Like, it's anyway.
That'll be the headline. It will be white man takes money from brown man, um, steals takeaway, and obviously there's so many jokes because I was actually ordering KFC. If you want to go down that route
Oh
as well,
Jesus.
that's the black man's meal, they'd say. Rah! And it will be like completely reversed on the concept of it doesn't matter what the other person looks like. He took someone else's food, you know?
Yeah.
But the overall point here would be that homelessness maybe shouldn't even exist to begin with. The fact that we have so many homeless people in this country, certain probably in your country, in America,
Hmm.
it goes to show that there's a big problem with capitalism because it seems to be like somebody has to lose. There has to be a ladder, and somebody's got to be at the bottom of it in order for you to be able to go, see, look, if you don't work hard, you'll be just like that man eating that KFC in the middle of Norwich. So it's more like I despise this man and I hate him and I find him annoying, but I'm probably aware of the fact that he probably doesn't like doing what he's doing either if he had the choice not to.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know. I
not
never
living
met
his
him. Let's
best
assume
life.
that.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's assume that. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. So I can see, and I used to be like that too in my past with people on YouTube where you'd see like, your Ethan Kleins or people of that sort of reaction 2016, 17 era when I was younger. And I'd be like, yeah, you should double down on, oh God, what was the guy's name? He came out quite recently and did a big apology video and he got a ton of grief for it. Who's the guy that did Content Cop? Remember him?
I don't know.
Oh my God, his name is. I need to type
I
this. I
can
can't
Google
believe
it.
it. Yeah,
Tana. I'm not gonna read that fucking
Hannah
name.
Montana.
Jesus. iDubbbz. That person.
Yes, him. So he did Content Cop videos, which he would like kind of severely go after specific YouTubers. I think he did one on oh God, it's like, is it Jenna Marbles? Maybe that sort of era of YouTubers and just sort of being like, I think he said the N word next to her and he used to have this big thing of going, well, either it's all okay or none of it's okay. So I'm just going to say it. He would do a bunch of other videos talking about the
If I don't
people's
say the
personal
N word,
lives.
someone else will. So I might as well
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah. Let me beat you to the punch on being a horrible racist man. Yeah. And he did a video recently where he was just sort of like, I realized that maybe I was kind of being a bit personal. It came from an insecure place. I'm sorry for any harm I caused all those people. Basically, he grew up from living in that online sphere to going, these are actual human beings. And yes, we're not saying that all of them are perfect, but we're arguing here is that maybe we shouldn't just beat these people down. And also, as you know, what that does is it sends people over to that channel from whatever channel you are, and if you're the bigger channel, you shouldn't be punching down on horrific levels because all the little followers are going to start saying horrible things. And he found that his fans start saying like the N word and calling each other like retards. And I don't know if you can say that on YouTube these days. You might have to cut that bit out. But
I'm gonna
you know,
leave it in. But
yeah.
I'm gonna cut everything else you said out. So
Oh, good. Yeah. So just the word retard at the
Yeah.
beginning, at the end. Yeah. And he just sort of came to the moment. He's like, well, even if I'm not trying to send this message, this is how it's coming across. And he got a ton of backlash for other people. Oh, you've given into the woke left media, yeah, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, no, he just realized he grew up, and it isn't good to do that because it always comes from a place of hate. So the majority of your content is produced through, I don't like this guy. Let me talk about how much I hate this guy. So yeah, it's even when you do have a moment of clarity, you can still get grief on the internet because there'll be a bunch of people being like, never apologize. You should keep going, keep being nasty and horrible. And because I like it, because I too, the viewer, I am too a little bit insecure in myself. So I want to vicariously attack other people so I feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Not healthy, my man. Not healthy.
No, there's a big strain of that going through the internet at the moment. I
It's
don't
never been worse, in my opinion, social
No,
media.
I'm kind of like on one hand, right? I know we're gonna talk a little bit about Twitter, and I don't know if I want to stop talking about it now because I don't want like such a heavy culture war bent to the start of this episode. And then on the other hand, it's like fucking inescapable, like on the internet. I feel like everything fucking comes down to just this bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I can't.
I think that no, I think we can get into it because I think the difference now is that everybody knows that. Everybody who's on FB or Insta, not Insta tends to be probably the least worst one at the moment.
I don't really ever see any hate on Insta, but also my timeline is much more cultivated on there. Like, so it wouldn't
That's
be,
right.
I'm not involved in the culture war on Instagram, as it were.
Through that, yeah.
But here, I guess we'll just talk about Twitter, in
X,
general.
formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah. I'll
Full
try.
name.
I'll try and keep this like super brief, right? But I want to talk about something that really fucking annoys me about this app at the moment is your timeline and how no matter how many times you change it to For You, it will always default back to here's a bunch of shit from accounts that you don't follow, right? And you deleted your account this year, correct? You're no longer on there.
Yeah, I left like probably when the name change happened. Is that
Yeah.
September, October? Yeah, for the reasons that you think.
Yes.
It wasn't doing me any favors. I didn't really communicate with everybody. It was essentially what that side of social media is. It's an outrage machine. So it's to keep you clicking through because outrage, as we all know, as it's been proven to be true, outrage is what drives content. It's what drives clicks.
Yeah.
On YouTube, it's hot takes. But that's the same version as the other thing, That's why if you fucking listen to Talk Sport, you've got idiots there making wild claims, And it's the same with Twitter. It's just and that's what it started to give me, just people on like either far side of the political spectrum making a point so stupid. And remember, obviously, you've also got only a certain number of characters that it's just like I might have to reply because I'm so fucking annoyed at this. I'm gonna have to call this guy a moron.
Yeah.
But that's what they want you to do.
But I
They
can't
want to go
help
back.
it. There's one account on there that I absolutely fucking despise on every single like level, every fiber.
Just one.
There is just this one.
This is the top one. The peak.
This one's different so like I have blocked like probably like 2,000 people this year, like all sorts of like Andrew Tate, Tucker Carlson, like Elon Musk, all these types of people. But there is one account that I cannot bring myself to block it because I am so perplexed. Like I have like my obsession with this is like bordering some kind of mental illness or something. This account is called Culture Critic, and
Mm-hmm.
It's run by a dilettante, which is
Mm-hmm.
a person who just knows nothing about art or culture, but their entire thing is based around like,
Perfectly suited for that
dude,
role, then. Yeah.
the fucking account is called Culture Critic, a critic of culture. If you think that you are some kind of critic of culture and you ask questions like, why is this in a museum or whatever, shit like this,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh man, I can't get over it. I hate it so much. The whole point of this account is basically to say, oh yeah, cities made by white people are better and more beautiful than other ones. And then the second point it seems to be making routinely is that the change in architecture when buildings are like kind of renovated, or sometimes buildings get demolished and rebuilt, there
Mm-hmm.
is an implication in this account that the reason why it gets changed to a more brutalist type of structure or a less aesthetically pleasing one is
Mm-hmm.
because of some Jewish mind control operation to demoralize the citizens,
Yeah.
or
You
some weird
damn
shit
right.
like this. This is a
Yeah.
huge thing
He's
that
nailed
the
it, hasn't he?
this is what the right wing have been, like Paul Joseph Watson and people like this have been saying for years, is like, modern art is not designed to inspire or to get the intellectual sort of stimulants running or whatever. Modern art is done to just demoralize you, and it's all pointless. None of it is supposed to mean anything. um uh, yeah, just this whole, and basically it's a conspiracy that the Jews are somehow involved in. But
Yeah.
I
That's why the
can't.
pyramids look so fucking shit, isn't it? That's why Moscow looks so fucking awful. I get no. I guess he'd probably chuck in Moscow because I guess those types of accounts tend to be Russophiles as well, a little bit,
A little
where they're
bit,
kind
yeah,
of
because
like,
of the inherent
yeah,
whiteness of it all, I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
guess.
yeah.
But it's just like, dude, I cannot actually, like, I can't accept, like, so the dude will tweet a picture of a statue that's got like a veil effect. So the statue is a woman
Mm-hmm.
wearing a veil, and the veil is built into the statue, and it looks incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude will be like, can anyone alive today do something even close to this? Like, dude, like 5 fucking seconds on Google will tell you absolutely yes. People do this all the fucking time. Like, what are you
Yeah.
saying? You're calling yourself a critic and you just don't, like, can you fucking imagine if I tweeted like a fucking album, like a fucking Limp Bizkit album cover, and just said like, can any artist today make music? Question mark. Like, oh, it's so, I hate it.
Or a photo of name insert football team here. Can any other team do what Man City can do?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's such a broad, encompassing statement that you have to be like, well, yes, but there's a reason why. So it's the same with this statue bullshit. There's a reason why we don't have as many statues, because we're not ruled by people who are mad, who are one day are like, get a statue of me here, you know? We got rid of
I
that shit for a reason.
I believe that these people, and Elon Musk is a huge fan of. Elon Musk is literally a subscriber to that account, which means he gives him a certain amount of money each, like $5 or whatever.
Nice.
But I
Good for
don't
him.
understand how, if you claim to like art and culture and architecture and sculptures and these types of things, I do not understand why you would follow this account, because it doesn't, the person running that account doesn't know anything about these things. Everything he tweets is a fucking question. Like, you're a critic and all you're doing is asking questions. Isn't that fucking weird? Like,
Mm.
shouldn't you be saying things, like making, like, making pointed statements about things, some kind of social commentary? But all he does is just say, why bad now when good before, question mark. Like, I hate it so
Yes.
much. And all of these guys who follow this shit, like Elon Musk and all of these people, they don't know anything about art and have no actual interest in art. It's all about like preserving some idyllic culture that they've imagined in their brain, where
Never
everything
existed.
was better before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I hate it so much. It's like, it's broken my brain on some fundamental level, where it's like, if it's Tucker Carlson talking about vaccines or whatever, I can block that. I don't care. Like that to me is just like that's like a conservative brain rot taken to its like logical conclusion. But this like attack that they're
Mm.
doing on art that seems to be in defense of art, even though they have no idea about art, is like it's really bothering me. Like I fucking really need
Yeah.
I need it to be explained to me. Like I just don't. Oh, anyway, thanks for listening.
It's that's all right. Yeah. Should we leave it there while you go hate tweet him? Yeah. Um.
I have hate
Yeah.
tweeted
No.
that account multiple times, and
I
I'm not
just
even ashamed. Like I don't care. I hate it.
and I want to throw my weight behind this. I bet whoever runs that account has actually not been outside too much.
Yeah.
They So, we're supposed to view culture as a sort of amorphous ecosystem of existence of like, well, are people happy in this town? Is there gardens? Is there places to sit? As opposed to just being like, look at this building. Look at how it used to look. It used to have like pointy ends and it used to look like a little, I don't know, like a proper house. Now it's just a block of flats with no features. What's happened to Western civilization? And you're like, mate, that is the people that built it. That is how they chose to build it. Like I just, and it's
Yeah.
also the art as well. The problem with art too is like it is so subjective. It is right up there with one of the most subjective things that you can throw your weight behind it. But to have a concentrated account that goes, let me ask you a toxic question, and everyone's like, yeah, I agree, they could never do this now, and it's just fucking sad. It's just so fucking sad.
Yeah.
And at no point to the people that make current art or are slightly involved with maybe statue building or stuff like that. It's not like they get spoken to. It's not like somebody goes like, "Hey, why are things not done like this anymore?" So you don't even go to your sources to get clarification on it. You just sit there with your stupid little tweets, and that's why I left.
That's the other thing is like the reason why you have all of these grand statues from the past is because the monarchs who owned like 99.999% of the wealth in the region where they
In all the
ruled,
land, yeah.
they would pay vast sums of money to the greatest artists to collaborate on these sculptures, which are essentially just forms of masturbation. Like it's basically like, here, Mr. Great Artist from the past, like here's $1 billion. I need you to just sculpt like I was gonna say something about a phallic object, but it's just I need you to like basically sculpt something that shows how much of an amazing king I am. Like it's stuff like that. Like all of
Yeah.
this stuff was done to using
It's a form of
the states.
propaganda.
Exactly, yeah. Like
Before there
Catholic
was
Church with their like the fucking oh, Jesus, what's wrong with my brain? The fucking ceiling and the uh
Yes, the little glass, whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah.
there is no way that the two
Yeah.
of us do not know the fucking name of this. St. Peter's Basilica, is that what it is?
If you say so. Yeah.
And
I don't want no angry Christians coming after me.
yeah, I just want to
Again.
explain to the listeners, the two of us are really hungover, so this is not going to be the
Yeah.
greatest memory recall
We are
podcast that
we
you've
are
heard.
letting ourselves down because we're both from Catholic countries originally.
Yeah, big time.
So yeah, a
Um,
bit weird, isn't it? That just dawned on me. Bit odd.
but in any event,
Yeah.
that's like why. But like if you were a critic, you would know that, and you would care about that, and you would be pointing out the difference, and you would be looking for contemporary art that's done not in the name of the state, and that isn't put on the platform of the king's quarters or whatever. But this
Hmm.
person has no interest in that. They're basically saying like, "Oh, I don't see any art anymore. Like no one is making good art. Oh, have you tried looking literally anywhere? No, but I just feel
No.
like great art will arrive on my doorstep, and I'm not seeing that anymore. So
Um,
therefore, now bad, but the past good, and that's the whole fucking thing. And I
Yeah.
just want to really quickly while
Mm.
I'm doing this. There is also currently the rise of AI generated art, and I I'm into it. I think it's super cool. I have a Mid-Journey subscription. I really enjoy going on there and typing in words and seeing what the thing will generate for me. I think that that's fun. I do not think that it is art. In fact, it's like anti-art. It's like the opposite of art, if such a thing were to exist. And then in being the opposite of art, it also has every piece of art ever created that's inspiring the images that it's doing. You know what I mean? Like anyway.
It's taking it from something than existing something, because obviously all AI is what's fed into it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I saw this tweet from a guy called Thomas Violence. I don't know if you ever saw that account when you were on there, but he's a
No.
dude who lives in, I think, Australia or maybe New Zealand. Super cool guy. I've been following him for like many years, and he tweeted this. He tweeted this quote tweet of someone who had generated a fucking. So I'll read the original tweet. It's from a guy called Rufus, and he says, he presents this AI generated image of a cartoon princess in a alien looking world, a very average looking cartoon slide, and he says, a sneak peek of Princess Jane's homeworld. I know AI is nowhere near creating perfect movies yet, but this feels like the beginning of something great. Experimenting with AI generated scripts like this feels like an important first step in a journey towards more human AI, blah, blah, blah. And then someone replies, so cool. Great use case, yes? Unleashing human creativity and letting AI do the grind. The new 80-20 rule. And Thomas Violence replied and said, I don't think I ever really believed before that there was like a split between creative / non-creative people, but I am now pretty convinced that there are a bunch of people incapable of creating art, as in they do not get what it is at all. Most of them pay for Twitter. And I just could not agree more with this sentiment. I really feel like the people who are interested in Elon Musk and culture critic and AI art, they don't know what art is. Like, they don't know what purpose it's supposed to serve. They don't feel emotions when they experience it. They just fucking think, oh, I can type a bunch of stuff in here and it spits out a colorful image. That's so cool. Oh, this statue from
This
the
is
past,
art.
that's so cool. Like, yeah, they just don't know. Like, all they can do is use established things for their it's like someone who's never listened to music before in their life, but like they're adamant that the Doors are the greatest band ever. And it's like, you only are saying that because like their popularity precedes them. Like, they have a reputation that's so hard coded into the like the pantheon of great musical acts.
Consciousness.
So like you could never you could have never listened to a note of the Doors music in your life and still be fairly confident that they're like one of the top 10 greatest bands ever, just because of the way that people speak about them. And that's how these culture critic types view art, in my opinion, and it drives me up the fucking wall and round the bend, and I hate it. And I really do think that I'm not like, in general, I'm like anti-genocide, but if we could get rid of all the... No, I'm kidding.
The accounts. He's talking about the accounts. The people behind the accounts, you can leave them be. But these people driving these accounts, I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to, I mean, I did often, I used to talk about this with my friends. I used to be like, wouldn't it be cool to have a TV show where you'd go and confront people that have written things on the internet, but that leads itself to about a million problems, because the whole point of it is just anonymity. So if you have a TV show that's like, this guy lives here and he said this, obviously that does happen on Instagram if guys send dick pics. I know that like certain women would like message their moms or their girlfriends and be like, hey, this is what your fucking dumbass son's up to. But just have an idea of just, going up to this culture critics, not even confronting me in the house like an ambush, but just being like, yeah, come have a conversation. Like, can you just back up your statements? I just want dialogue here. I want to understand how you got to this point of view.
Yes.
Because something seems to be disconnecting along the way between the things you keep saying and reality. So you're trying to shape reality to be this idea that, like, it's always better to look to the past for answers. And yes, history should teach us stuff. But when it comes, especially to culture, it changes so much so often than to just focus. Because usually what they do is in those things is they're like, look at Italy, Portugal, Spain. They've got quite mosaic, old style buildings, and maybe new buildings just aren't built like that. And you're like, maybe it's expensive. Maybe people didn't even want it in the first place because, as you said, some person who had total unadulterated power said, "Well, this is happening here." So, yeah, you can't always. It's difficult to always be like, "What's that person thinking?" Because you can't put yourself in somebody else's brain. But you do wonder sometimes. You're like, "What a weird existence you must have," because
Yeah.
that is so joyless. And all you're doing is that either you're getting people to go, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, what happened to modern art, or what happened to art, things died in 1900 when democracy came in or something stupid like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And to just exist like that, unironically, I yeah, there's got to be something else going on. Either they're actively denying it and they're playing some sort of character that goes, "I'm a big dumb idiot," or they
Yeah.
genuinely are. But I think that's scarier if they genuinely do think those things.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's the main source of my frustration here is that like I could never put myself into the shoes of someone who was doing this deliberately. Like if someone was grift, and grift is like the fucking word of the last 3 years, I think people use it for everything. But like if this was actually a grift and the dude, in his private collection he's got like all sorts of like modern art in there and like like big believer in contemporary sculpture, like all that kind of stuff, but he's just pretending because it makes him money on the internet. I think that's more understandable than that this is a sincere account and that he genuinely does not understand modern art but is posing as a
mhm.
critic. Like it fucking uh, that just is conceptually upsetting to me. I think like that does something to my worldview that I don't know if I'm ready to kind of build that in, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's like I don't know. A dilettante being the one teaching the art class is like that's some kind
Mm.
of like disaster waiting
Leading.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just I just can't deal with it.
And the way we have a relationship with like the internet and stuff, it's the equivalent when you're, reading through tweets or going through Instagram posts. It's essentially like, I wouldn't say it's like you're talking to these people, but it's like you're reading it back to yourself. So
Hmm.
something's written. And again, if this was in person, somebody said something stupid like that, you'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
what do
yeah,
you mean? Just explain, because you just outed yourself as a bit of a wally, as a bit of a ninny, as a fool. So, like, can you just clarify that you're not any of these things and you're just like taking the piss or something like that?" So that's why I didn't. I mean, again, I'm not making a big thing like, "Oh, I left Twitter because God forbid I can't be on it anymore." But I just found myself being like, I'm actually getting this is actually interfering with my real day life, where I'm just like, I am actually fucked off by seeing these, like, because I used to get a lot of GB News,
hmm
Lawrence Fox, the guy who pretends to be a priest, old Mr. Farage. Um, those would be the kind of the as you said, even though you put it for you or whatever the other one is, or my specific timeline, where the fuck he's got
yeah,
going on there, you still get that stupid shit, and you just find yourself being like, how have they taken that news story, or how have they taken this event and put such a weird twist on it that's so detached from reality?
yep,
That's bad enough. And then people are like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, man, you tell them these accounts that have just joined today with the egg profile picture and, like, bunch of numbers, no followers. They might be bots. I don't know, but yeah, that whole thing just felt way too toxic and just sad, just frustratingly sad. Because
yeah,
I'm not gonna waste my time. This happened on Reddit as well. I'm not going to wait because I was active in this particular subreddit, which is the Russell Brand subreddit.
oh
We can
yes,
we can get into his year if you want to. But there's still plenty of people that defend them, and they're like, yeah, he might be a bit of a Nazi rapist, but like some of the stuff that he says is true. And not only is he grifting, and he is grifting. We all know that he's grifting because he refuses to criticize Russia and stuff like that. But just the idea that you can, when and this especially this works for both sides. I just obviously, because I lean towards more one side than the other. So the idea that when you criticize someone you don't like, i.e., I don't know, Joe Biden, because they seem to always be going after him. He's shit, he's sleepy, his son, blah blah blah. But then you apply the same thing to like a Russell Brand by going, well, look at the content of his character. No, 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 disregard all that. Forget
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Just listen to what he's saying, because what he's saying is true about vaccines or the great replacement. And you're like, well, how does that work? So I have to disconnect from certain people and connect into others. It's weird. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's essentially in what we're just describing. It is the current state of the internet in general for the most part. Isn't sorry, social media, maybe other than Threads because I haven't looked at that often. Um, but I'm sure they'll turn bad soon enough, anyways, when everybody leaves the other one to go there. But
Yeah.
it's this 4chan version of the internet that is clearly, the brainchild of a certain Mr. Musk to have this just open door policy on anything and everything. And that's fine. Of course, you should be able to talk about anything and everything, but then you should also be called out for being stupid or wrong or offensive or just because you say it doesn't mean you're protected from criticism of those things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that whole thing, and obviously, Twitter, X, they've brought back Alex Jones. I'm guessing you know about this probably more than me, huh?
Yeah, this was another just monumental backwards step in the kind of
Society for
like
Earth
honestly the
as a
maintenance
whole.
of like online society. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like this is just I think Elon Musk I'm fairly sure that like he constantly talks about the woke mind virus and how it's a mind
Mm-hmm.
virus, and once you go woke, you're not able to think. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that the mechanism that he's describing there is correct. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that it has happened to him. He has the woke mind
Yeah.
virus, which is that
Yeah.
he's seeing wokeness in things where it does not exist, and he blames
He's
everything
filtering
on it.
woke. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and
He's filtering woke through every fucking thing that happens,
and
and
like
having to make it a political
and he's
or
gone
personal
so
attack.
hard on it that he thinks that like anything anti-woke is therefore good, and it's just he did this fucking Twitter Spaces thing. This is like the kind of live podcast type format thing that you have on Twitter. Whereas him, that fucking moron, Republican presidential candidate guy, or he's running,
Oh,
Vivek, whatever that fucking moron's name is.
he was
Um,
pissing. He
he
was
was pissing,
pissing.
yeah. Andrew
I mean, we
Tate
all
was
piss.
there.
He just happened to piss on
Yeah,
stream,
he
creating
did.
his own stream,
He
so to
did. He
speak.
created, yeah. He
Yeah, he had his own separate little line.
but
Yeah. So what were they saying there?
it was like him, Andrew Tate, Elon Musk, and then so he brings on Alex Jones. That is, I'm not on first name basis with the big dog.
Mr. Jones for me.
So he fucking like I
He
know
did
that
his shtick.
people are like not interested in this, and like I'm kind of, but so Elon had, when he purchased Twitter, he said Alex Jones will never return to this platform. My child died in my arms. I have absolutely no sympathy for people who would arrange for the harassment of grieving parents or whatever. And so Elon is like, okay, hi Alex. So listen, obviously anybody who would deny the realities of what happened at Sandy Hook it would be a piece of shit. Obviously that goes without saying. So I want to hear your side of this. And so Alex is just like, yeah, well, I thought that I had information that said something else, whatever. Like this, why
Yeah, I'm
is
just
he?
playing devil's advocate.
This has been
That sort of
fucking.
shit.
This this was like, what is it? The largest fucking payout, or the largest what's the word here?
Settlement, I
Yeah,
guess.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, like Alex Jones. It's not. There is no his side of it. Everything has been already fucking proven in a court of law. If you want to know what happened, Elon, open a fucking web browser and type in like Alex Jones court case and fucking read about it. But he won't do that
Yeah.
because he's been poisoned by this anti-woke mind virus that he
Mind
has.
virus.
And so he fucking goes to Alex Jones and asks him what happened. Like, I wouldn't go to Alex Jones for literally any fucking thing. I wouldn't even ask him for the time. I wouldn't ask him like what color my jumper is. He
Well, you
is
know, the
like,
time is a difficult thing to answer. Maybe if you buy my dick pills and my
yeah.
Superman dick pills, you might be able to tell that it's 12 o'clock on a Tuesday,
It's
and then you
just,
look at your clock and you're like, it's 12 o'clock on a Friday. You fucking idiot.
you know, in the interest of freedom of speech and the woke, let's ask the fucking biggest liar in the history of media, the like number one fucking, the guy who made conspiracy theories popular. Like, let's fucking ask Alex Jones what fucking happened. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
this is the stupidest fucking thing I can imagine, and let's do it in the company of fucking Andrew Tate. Oh, the dude is just, he's like brain dead or something. I don't know. Like,
He's a 12-year-old trapped in a 7-year-old's body with a mind of a 4-year-old. It's just unbelievable. And I know that he says some stuff to get clicks and stuff, because he figured it out, the whole, like, if you just spam your videos, there's going to be people who are like, well, I don't normally agree. This, I said this about Alex Jones too. I don't normally agree with him on stuff, but he's right about this one. And it's
yeah,
like, imagine if you knew someone on the news or a friend, we can go personal, a colleague, who just chats utter shit 90% of the time and lies and manipulates and gaslights and sort of bends the truth. But they occasionally, they might be like, yeah, no, that milk's out of date. You'd be like, oh
yeah,
yeah, you're
yeah.
right, nice one.
It's
It turns out you're right about most things, man. Like, you're so clever. No, you'd be like, yes, you are right about that one thing, but it doesn't mean that, again, that everything else that you've just said and publicly in the media, in the ether, is to be even valued, or it does my head in. But and Alex Jones as well, he's known as, like, he's not just known as the conspiracy guy, he's known as, like, the shit conspiracy guy.
yeah,
He's not known as, like, the guy who broke stories. I believe 20 years ago he went to Bohemian Grove and saw some weird shit go down. Little did we know that John Ronson was also there,
yeah.
and he had a completely different take on the events that he saw. He saw it as a silly, fucked up, weird play that rich people do. Guess what?
You
There's
read the
loads
book,
of it.
right? You've read
I
them.
have, yes.
The part in them when so them, for the listeners, them is a book by John Ronson, and in it is the book
Highly
that
recommend.
it details the incident that made Alex Jones famous. The reason why Alex Jones is in this book, and there's a moment in it where John Ronson just writes. He's describing Alex Jones being like kind of in a state of shock, and he's like, "We just witnessed a human sacrifice," and then the quotation marks, and then full stop, and then John Ronson writes, "We had not just witnessed a human sacrifice," and it's
That's
just
not what we saw.
um,
So yeah,
yeah,
it's that whole thing. It's just I there's dark corners of the internet that have always been like that. Your 8chans, 4chans, to certain parts of Reddit, certainly. It exists. There's forums, plenty of misogyny, all the bad stuff, all the stuff that you can imagine that's negative about the internet. Of course it exists, but I've just never seen it on such a grand mainstream scale.
and being
And you're,
celebrated by like kind of
yeah,
like legitimate figures, like
yeah,
Elon is absolutely like torching his reputation right now, but like I would say Elon Musk 5 years ago co-signing on something, like it meant something if he did. Like like the causes that he supported before are completely eliminating human beings' reliance on fossil fuels, like super important thing
yeah,
that pretty much everybody agrees in. He wanted to kind of, I guess, like a long-term vision that he wanted to start the work on would be like terraforming another planet, so that if and when Earth becomes uninhabitable, that we would have somewhere else to go. The preservation of human life, stuff like this, the creation of electronic vehicles, and the popularization of, like, these are all. And also he warned about AI. Like, he was a big
that's right.
early alarm ringer about AI, and he
Hmm.
seemed to speak about it with a type of like candor and like alertness, and he seemed to have just an aptitude for understanding specifically. Like you really could, if
The
you,
dangers of it. Yeah.
yeah, he was at some I think it was TED, um like the TED Talk thing. I don't think he gave a TED Talk, but he spoke at some like Q&A thing
Mm-hmm.
with other like AI, I think it was Sam Harris actually did a talk about AI at this TED event. And if you listen to Elon Musk talking about it, this was probably in the year 2012, 13 maybe. Um, he sounds like a fucking genius. Like he sounds like Tony Stark when he talks. Like he really is, like, you know, this guy like building rockets and like all the stuff that he's saying is so like intelligent and whatever. And now he just seems like a fucking moron, like a brain dead, fucking divorced, like fucking loser. Like with everything that he says, he seems to have the most simple fucking explanation for really complex things. He seems to not be able to fucking read graphs or charts or like, I don't
Mm.
know what. Like he just he has, I
He's
guess,
spiraling in
yeah,
one direction.
yeah, and I
He's
do, I hate making this kind of statement, right? Because I don't know any of this stuff for fact. I can't
for
claim to know
true.
why he is the way he is, but I know that he had a public falling out with his daughter who is trans, and
Mm.
the daughter wants nothing to do with him ever again and said that he's terrible. And I really do think that this is where it started for him. Like, I think he just went off the fucking rails. It was like some personal event where he saw like
Mm-hmm.
perceived wokeness. And I think
Yeah.
his fucking idiot brain just cannot comprehend the, yeah, I don't know what it is, but he's just,
Well, yeah, you can see the link there to going, okay, she's trans. Would she have been trans if it wasn't for like the way Twitter is or the way
yeah,
the
yeah,
media and when people say the media, like that's it's so fucking broad and there's so many different aspects to that. So many different journalists within a media there's so many different outlets. Like it's
yeah,
unbelievable when
yeah.
people say the mainstream media. Doesn't that include Fox News?
It's
Who
it's
you also court? You know what I mean? They're the most popular news shows in the States,
it's
I
also
think.
like the New York Times has writers from like different sides of the political spectrum. Like if an op-ed is written in defense of Israel, that doesn't mean the New York Times supports Israel, because like a week later another journalist will write an op-ed in the same section of the newspaper defending
Yeah,
Palestine. That doesn't mean the whole fucking publication is pro-Palestine. Like you
yeah.
really gotta fucking just not be such a simpleton when it comes to things like this, you know.
Because if they don't do that, they are like one news network and those far right, Fox News to some degree, where they just write on one thing from
yeah, yeah,
one
yeah.
perspective, and that's exactly what they always go, well, the CNNs and the blah blah blahs, and it's like, well, they can criticize Joe Biden too. It's just it's the lack of hypocrisy. Number one is hilarious, but I guess we're all capable of being hypocrites to our own standards and then judge somebody else. But it's
Yeah.
doing it so publicly and so openly and
And
being
so
such an easy.
shamelessly, like
Yes, yeah,
just
and just being so easy to do like a gotcha, because not only can you go and you know, there's I can't remember who it was. Maybe it is him. Where it's like there's always a tweet and there's always a previous comment that completely undermines what you're saying now.
yeah,
As
yeah,
a
yeah.
way to go against what you've just said yesterday or the day before.
There's always a
He is.
tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, he is going to spiral, and I think that there is going to reach a conclusion where either he's basically becoming the absolute cliche evil billionaire man who wants to control everything because he wants to make X the everything app. He wants your medical records, you know? I'm not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to catastrophize or whatever the fucking word is everything, but that's what he wants. He wants it to be the same place where you order your food, where your bank details are, where your medical stuff is, where your perhaps your work email. But it's only because he has invisibility on everything that everybody's doing. Um, and he's also quite into chipping people. I think they were chipping monkeys at some point, and they
Yeah.
killed a bunch of monkeys
Neuralink,
because
yeah.
and that's like the very thing that like people like Alex Jones are always against about keeping don't track me down,
Yeah, that
don't
is really
don't
true actually.
don't spit on my flag, 1776 will commence again. But then you're also working alongside people who will like want all of the things that you're 1984 and fucking what's that movie? V for Vendetta. They're like the baddies in those sorts of movies, but they're teaming up with the people that are apparently part of the quote unquote resistance. So
That is,
that is the bit that's
dude,
bizarre. It's
I
bizarre.
never fucking thought of that point before, but that is like so fucking true that like Elon is the exact thing that Alex Jones should fear and hate, right? If we're
An
to,
incredible rich man with stupid views who just thinks that he can lord it over everybody else, who says that unions shouldn't exist because it creates a kings and lords and peasants system. Well,
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
it is now.
yeah.
It's that sort of thing. And again, I just find it weird when these people are being interviewed because it feels like these interviews don't do enough research, or they're like, let's just not pick one thing apart because the whole interview is going to be just that. But like most of the time, you just got to be like, hey, wait, hold on a minute. Can you just think about what you've just said? Have a big think. So you think that with unions, it creates a two-tiered system, but when 99% of wealth is owned by like, let's say 100 people in the world, and trickle down economics essentially doesn't work, but you're for that and making people work late and sleep at the job and all these horrific things, stripping away workers' rights. Now they're coming after your pension. They might be coming after this other stuff. They do all of that, and then they're like, I agree with you. Like, how?
I know.
How do these two things communicate with one another? But
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see what 2024 brings as far as that side of things go. I'm kind of glad to be out of it, but as always, I always keep a curious eye on what the fuck he's saying, and just have a laugh to myself and think, well, I hope nobody looks up to him. Many people do.
On a lighter note, the one of the things that's really driving me away from Twitter is the timeline where like if I'm on a bus or I just can't look at my timeline anymore because it's like the I'll open it and like there'll
Porn
be
could come up.
yeah, there's like there's a femboy in fishnets. I better scroll down immediately. Oh, there's someone getting shot in the fucking head and their blood going onto. I better scroll like more quickly, and then like here's a horse video. I'm not gonna go into detail on that one. You can figure that one out for yourself.
Yeah.
And you just keep everything like it's a cesspit. It's fucking
Yeah,
unbelievable.
here's a guy praising Hitler and being like, "Hey, maybe he wasn't so bad. Maybe he knew what he was saying." And it's like, "Fucking hell!"
And
This
his
is
name
like,
is Elon Musk.
yeah. The actual truth, he would say.
Yeah. You have
Yeah.
said
So,
the actual truth. Yeah, big one.
yes, you have, my friend. Yes, you have, because I don't know how to Google things. So, yeah, I think better to wash your hands clean when you feel like you've had enough. And I just
Yeah.
reached that point, so I was like, I'm out of here. But hey,
Yes.
let's go a little bit more positivo, shall we?
All right.
Um,
Do you want
what have you
to?
got?
Okay, I can do it. I can do it.
You got any positive news stories or things that you've enjoyed? Not necessarily that came out this year, but just in general, I guess.
I suppose on like a personal level, my 2023, if I completely erase all knowledge of my job, which I fucking hate, it was a
It's
really
not
good
easy
year
to
for
do,
me.
but yeah.
Yeah. Well, so for the listeners, I have just quit my job. I started it in November 2022, and I just left it on December 22nd. So, yeah, it was horrible. It was like I
Hmm.
got a huge pay rise to go there, and that was great. And I did work from home for most of it, which was also great.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just it was horrendous. It was one of the worst like experiences I've had in a company in a very long time. So I have nothing on the horizon as such, but I'll figure that out in the new year. But yeah, then from a personal standpoint, I mean,
Hmm.
it was a fucking good year. I don't know what to say. I usually feel like, oh, this year was bad for this reason and this reason, but no, I think last year or this year, I guess, we're
I
not
think
over the line yet.
certainly better than 22 for me too. I think that's kind of the comparable I can only do is like, you're right, because if you think about stuff always in the moment, you're like, well, I don't have this and this is annoying me, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at it from just an overall, take these 12 months and compare them to 2020, I know not job notwithstanding, I guess for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do think 2023 has been. quite tiring 2023, but I think that's also because it's the first full year that we are kind of more back to normal. You know,
Yeah.
2021, some of 22, I guess, was still a little bit pandemic-y. I mean, that shit's still going around, but let's pretend that it isn't for a second. Um,
Yeah.
it does feel like it's been an overall better year personally. Outside of this, of course, you know, the world seems to be getting slightly worse, but hey, at least let's have fun. If we're all gonna fucking perish and the climate's gonna basically dick us over because no one can be bothered to do anything about it, at least maybe let's find some like personal joy, whether it is through your hobbies or as you said, like maybe starting a new career, you know,
Yeah.
making some positive changes for yourself, you know. At least there's that kind of like energy for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like I've done a lot of woodwork this year, like painting stuff, upselling stuff that I would never feel confident enough to do, which is silly because it's like, why don't you just go and do it? I'm gonna learn how to play guitar, like I'm gonna learn how to draw, and then Western culture critics gonna have a pop at my work, but that's fine. Um,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, it's I think 2023 has been a and maybe something about getting older as well. You know, when you reach your fortunately you reach your 30s, you just start to look at the things slightly different in your actual personal life when you're not on Twitter or whatever. And also, I mean, my favorite band released an album this year, which
Oh
was
shit, that's right. Uh
fucking amazing. The new
in
Queens of the Stone Age
in
album.
this time, in Times New Roman.
In Times New Roman.
Yeah.
Um, I love the little pun there. Their current tour, or at least their tour they're on before, is called The End is Nero. Very good
Ah,
as well.
nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed the album. There's a strong I don't like my ex-wife vibe from the from the album.
Shocked to
Um,
hear that.
yeah, have you listened to any of it or
Yeah,
just the
I've
singles?
no, I listen. I think I spun the whole thing like 4 or 5 times.
Hmm.
I was pretty into it, but I also like. So I have this huge problem since I entered my 30s, and mainly since to be honest, it's since I got COVID the first time before
Mm-hmm.
vaccines existed. My brain is mush, like absolute fucking mush nowadays. And I used to be well known for having a great memory and my ability to recall like any piece of information about someone that like if someone told me something, I would basically never forget, and that was like my big thing that used
Yeah.
to impress everybody. I was a great gift giver, all that type of thing. Now I don't fucking remember anything anymore. It's like my memory goes up to like 2018 and then nothing after that is registered at all.
Until
So
this year or last year, right?
to
There's a
to
black
me,
hole.
it feels to me like I genuinely believe that the first strain of COVID that I got like broke my brain in some way, and I don't know if that's where I'm doing a sort of like a post hoc like rationale for it or whatever. Like I'm sure that staying indoors for literally months at a time doesn't do good things for your memory because there's no kind of stimulation, like visual
Yeah,
stimulation
you're not taking in
for
new information.
yeah, and there's no like image association or like there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that go into remembering something. It's not just hearing what the person told. At least for me,
Mm.
that's the way my memory works, is like
Yeah.
I'll remember like the air temperature or a song that I heard later that day or like a bunch of stuff like that. I always connect memories to other things, and I guess
Yeah.
maybe not being able to do that because I'm indoors all the time could be a part of it.
Impacts it.
Yeah, I also
Mm.
like kind of maybe like drink too much or and that's not good for your short-term memory. I don't really know, but anyway, sorry. All of that is to
It's
say
good.
I don't remember the fucking like name. I know Emotion Sickness, was that the first single
That
off
was
of
the
it?
single, yeah.
So
That was my most listened to song of 20. Thank you, Spotify. Yeah,
oh
it's my
yeah,
most
yeah.
listened song this year. It only came out in June. Um, it's the most Queens of the Stone Age song that could ever be. It's
But
like,
it's also a Duran Duran song. Did you know? The
you think it's really?
well,
Is it like
the
inspired by it, shall we say?
the riff is fucking identical to Girls on Film, I feel like.
Hmm.
If you listen to, hold on, I'm gonna quickly spin it, just so that I can get this straight in my head before I tarnish the. I'm not saying it's a ripoff. I think it's probably like a tribute or something. So it
Which is
starts
the
with
polite
the
version of a ripoff, isn't
yeah.
it? It's a tribute. It's not the greatest song. It's just a tribute, as the Tenacious Dicks used to say.
Shit, I just actually played that over what you were saying. So
Oops,
you're
sorry.
gonna have
That's
to say
okay.
that again. Sorry.
It's just a bad joke about Tenacious D. Don't worry about it.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, no, I do think it's the Girls on Film riff, and it's also really similar to "Losing My Favorite Game" by the Cardigans, but the Queen's version is like it fucking Jesus, this kind of make me sound like such a dude, bro, but like it rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It goes
yeah.
really hard. Like it's so rugged
It's
sounding, and it
it's filtered
real
through that stoner rock California sort
yeah.
of
It's like an engine, like
yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But man, the whole album is just I initially didn't like. So I have found this with Queens of the Stone Age and probably most of my favorite bands. When the new album comes out, I always like have this weird recoil of like, oh, unfamiliar, don't like it. Go back and listen to the ones you like. Um, but this time around, didn't take that long for that turnover to happen. Because the way I
Mm,
listen to music, uh, you know, I kind of go, I don't listen. I very initially rarely listen to album top to bottom. I'll actually just pick out two songs and then maybe I'll add a third because I need familiarity before going into the unfamiliar. I can't just accept. Maybe I could when I was younger, but these days I can't just accept. 12 songs I don't know. I have to have one song as my basis to build an image of what this album, what this song, what this music is, and then eventually actually play it all, in time. So initially it's like, oh, I don't like track 2 or track 7. It hasn't really clicked for me. But I also, and then I end up going back through their back catalog. I ended up really liking an album that I didn't think I'd like, which is Era Vulgaris, which is from 2007.
I
And
love that
that's
one.
known as, so do I. It's like Misfit Love. There's a couple of songs in there. Highly recommend if you're like sort of that stoner alternative rock energy with a weird falsetto man, a giant ginger falsetto man singing along. It just made me appreciate everything that they did. And usually when bands do the whole like this album's slightly different, it either gets huge praise or huge criticism. That one just sort of sat in the middle of that exactly. And I was more of being like, oh, why can't they just make the first album over and over again? But
Yeah.
listening to it now, I was just like, oh my fucking God, it's like taking a trip in to the woods at midnight and being both quite unnerved by it because of all the strange noises, but oddly comfortable because there's sort of like this otherworldliness to it because it's something you don't normally do. That's the energy I usually get from their albums. And as I
Yeah.
said, because this one is so there's been last one was from 2017, which is Villains, which is probably their weaker album.
Yeah.
Out
I,
of the,
I
I think it's just a
was
bit
I
it's a bit
wasn't really
flat for
into
me.
that one. It's
Mm.
it's that one and the Clockwork one. Um,
Before that, yeah.
there's something about them that's like I don't know. I don't want to say so they're not devoid of personality. I don't think that
It's
that
just a
would be
different
fair to
type of
say.
personality, I
Yeah,
think.
but I think it's flatter, right? And it's just less hooky and more sort of
Introspective. It's
yeah,
a
I
it's a lot more
guess.
about so it's no longer so you get this certainly with the new one as well, where and villains, I suppose, to some degree, which is like this song has a specific meaning now. It's this song is him writing about, again, to each their own, but this song's about him writing about this particular experience and not vaguely alluding to it, unlike, say, No One Knows, which is about taking drugs, funnily enough.
Yeah.
But it's quite personal, and this latest album falls under that category. And like Clockwork, which is the other one that you mentioned, is because the guy had depression. He like died for 20 minutes when he's having surgery. He felt like his marriage was falling apart. Ironically, didn't do it until about 7 years after that. But
Yeah.
so it's very personal. So you feel like you have to get in this. It's quite weighty. So you can't just drop it, because say if you're doing a bit of cleaning or having a shower or just exercising, you don't want to hear the guy talking about how fucking fucked his mind is when you expect it to be more of a rock and roll, let's have a good time type of energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but then with that in mind, you can't just do that same type of song all the time because if you're writing about life, well, life has ups and downs and then middles and stuff. But the latest album is certainly like the first couple of songs are literally like my ex-wife fucked me over and now I'm a bit fucked up and I've kind of lost my sense of self. Um, we've all been there. I think that's a relatable emotion as well.
We've all been
To,
divorced.
We've all been divorced. We've all had emotion sickness. But when you've been with someone for long enough, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, you have this sort of big reset because you're kind of like, I've forgotten who I was because I just
Yeah.
fulfilling this role for whatever reason, and you kind of have to go back to find yourself and going, what were my hobbies? What did I used to do? Um, have I grown as a person? Am I wiser? Am I a bit sad? Am I a bit scared of being? And it just kind of deals with that across the album. Um, so there is a little bit of weight to this as well. But I'd highly recommend to anyone who likes, anyone who likes good music. You
Mm.
listener, do you like good music? Well, I got the music for you. Um, but yeah, it was truly one of the highlights of 2023 because like and as always with these things as well, when it's gaming or music or TV, film, books, you name it, any type of content, it's the anticipation. It's not
Yeah.
just having the thing; it's the hype of being like, oh my god, there's going to be a new blah 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 album. That means we're going to go on tour. That means we're going to get live performances. Oh, I can't wait to see the live version of this song, or I can't wait to go see at a venue and stuff. So that so that the album dropped in June, I think just at the end of June, beginning of July, and essentially kind of put a spin on my entire summer. So now I think summer was great because of the music. And that in itself, I think, is a great compliment to the music because you're basically saying, like, you've taken me out of whatever shitty mood or whatever complications I would have had and maybe still have to just put me in this sort of happy place. And can't put a price on that because
No.
that's what music does for me anyways. It just transports me
Yeah.
from here to somewhere else, whatever genre. So it's nice to get that from my favorite group of musicians at a time where they hadn't made an album since 2017, and much like Tool, you just read everything you read about. It's all lawsuits and record company shit. And this guy's now dying. This guy's got cancer, and that one broke his leg on another. So it's just nice to clear all of that out of the way and just have actual music as far as news to do with that group or band. So yeah, obviously I did listen to a bunch of other shit and watched a bunch of other shit as well. But I wanted to highlight that in particular because I thought it was worth bringing it to the table.
Yeah, I thought it was a dope record. I do remember listening to it while I was gaming, actually, which is like not every
It's a
song
good
on it
way.
is like emotion sickness, but like still, it does go pretty hard. I think.
Yeah.
I
The
definitely
last
like it.
song is particularly brilliant. It's like 8 minutes long,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah,
a kind of a it starts a bit emotional, then it kind of goes into like a Doors. I think actually, as a matter of fact, it is exactly like the Doors at the middle section, um, with a sort of Queens of the Stone Age spin on it. It's clear that during the pandemic, the boys from Queens of the Stone Age probably went through their album collections and were like, "Oh, Duran Duran, let's give that a spin." And they were inspired by stuff that maybe they weren't inspired by before, because they had a
yeah.
chance to stop and think. And definitely, the Doors is heavily influenced. I think he directly quotes Doors lyrics in the very last song, which name I forget. It's long as shit, but the live version, it's just yeah. When I've seen it, I haven't gone to a gig because they're expensive as fuck. But when I've seen it on TV, like the little gigs they've done, they're usually the best band. They're probably one of the best live bands to see in the world. They killed it at Glastonbury, and they've done that about 3 times at different Glastonburies, but nobody ever talks about them because they seem to be more just about the music, rather than say,
The
it's that
wokeness.
guy, the wokeness, the yeah, the political wokeness. Now, so it's just nice to have that, um, and keeping it within the same lines. I know it's to do with gaming, but obviously we also had a huge trailer with GTA 6.
True. Yeah, that just dropped like last week or the week before. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, there can be no doubt. Like nobody thought it wasn't going to be a phenomenal looking game, but
Yeah,
Jesus, it looks like all of the superlatives that I could use are just implied
yeah,
by the title, right? Like next level, fucking.
yeah.
It looks insane. Yeah,
Everything that GTA 5 was, plus more,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And the thing about Rockstar, um, not only do they have, I mean, I would argue this with most people, they have the best driving mechanics of most games.
yeah,
Open world, well, that's kind of up to debate because it's a sandbox as opposed to being like a quest one. I don't know, like fucking Fallout or something. People might enjoy that aspect of like specific narrative driven worlds. But yeah, everything about it just seems to be bigger and better. And you get to play as a woman, which upsets some people, but there you
dude.
are,
What
What's that about?
you could play as a woman in the first fucking GTA game. So like, what the fuck
Oh,
is the
really?
Yeah, GTA 1 and I believe GTA 2 as well. You had like
Hmm.
4 characters you could select, and 2 of them were women. So like, I don't, I don't know. It's yeah, it's the laziest lens to look at anything, and this
Cheap.
includes both like critical and in terms of praise. Like the laziest thing that you
Yeah,
can do is say like, oh, there's this many minority. Like just fuck off and play the fucking game
it's
and
a
see what they.
game. Who
Like
cares? It
Rockstar
should
are
be.
always doing some parody of or commentary on like American culture and like
Yeah.
particularly like American criminal culture and
Yeah.
like Bonnie and Clyde is one of the most famous stories in American crime. So like let's just fucking see what they're cooking before
What
we
their
fucking
take on this is. Yeah.
yeah,
And
like
it's brilliant because it's back in Vice City as well, which is my favorite of the old GTA. So it'd be nice to revisit all those locations. Believe the map is absolutely ginormous, even though I
yeah.
thought Fives was quite ginormous. I've replayed that in the last couple of months. I 100%ed it. One of the few games I managed 100%.
That's some
Um,
achievement, I tell you.
I know, I know. Just bow our heads and hope that people start clapping in the ether. But yeah, and GTA 5 is a big ass game. Um, so 6 can only be bigger and better. It was a bit shitty how we had the leaks earlier in the year, and then we
Yeah.
had the leak of the trailer, so they then had to like push it forward by about half a day
Yeah, it was pretty shit.
to to get the trailer because it was like it's gonna be tomorrow at I think it's 1 p.m. UK time and it ended up being like 9 p.m. the night before. I don't know why people do that because I know that Rockstar are. I mean they've ridden the GTA 5 online thing to fucking beyond anything that anyone ever expected.
Yeah.
Um,
The highest grossing piece of media in the history of civilization. It's made more
yeah,
money than the Avatar movies combined and the Harry Potter movies
that's
combined.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, every month probably it makes that fucking much as well.
It is
It's it is
unbelievable.
a juggernaut, a machine of
Hmm.
just a license to print money. So you can see why they obviously were whole. Because I reckon this game, if that hadn't been the case, this game would have been out in 2018, 2019. Um, and I think it was, I guess Red Dead came out in that time, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, Red
Um,
Dead, I guess.
mm, but thing about them is, yeah, you can always rely on them to put out an excellent game if you're into, the genre that they invented essentially, and
Yeah,
everybody else copied from them.
yeah,
That's why every other game had to go open world, right? And not many of them get it right. But the thing about them is, of course, this game's going to be fucking amazing because not only have they been doing the same version of the game for about 25 years, the open world, go do missions,
hmm,
they start doing more specific games and then borrowing back to those games and then splashing that all over other games. So, the wheel, the infamous weapon wheel, they fucking invented that on Red Dead 1. So,
okay.
yeah, that's on the first Red Dead, the weapon wheel, which then goes to Max Payne, which then goes to Max Payne 3, which then goes to Red Dead, which then goes to GTA 5. Um, Max Payne invented that slow motion like killing thing, which is then the specials like Franklin, Michael, and Trevor when they do their little specials. So they invented that in a
Yeah,
different game,
yeah, yeah,
applied it to a different game, and on Red Dead as well with the slow shooting thing, the roll up draw, whatever they do over there in their Texas or whatever part of the fucking country they're in. So they constantly innovate and then just sprinkle it back to another game. This game, with all that back catalog in mind, and you can even add L.A. Noire if they want to do like, when they want to start doing like a motion capture thing or having multiple options, dialogue options and stuff like that. Like all of that just points towards a brilliant fucking game. So there I am. I was watching it here with one of my housemates, all hype. Oh my god, it looks fucking awesome. And then you get to the end and it goes coming 2025. Fuck
This
you.
I fucking knew I knew that was gonna happen. Like
I was thinking September 24 because that's like
nah,
going into the winter months.
doesn't matter,
But
pal.
this,
Rockstar,
yeah,
do what they want.
do it when they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention as well, this was not a gameplay trailer at all. It was literally I guess like a teaser trailer, I guess. So
look what we're doing trailer, basically.
yeah, so that tells you that there's probably still a ton of shit to tweak and fix and
for sure. I mean, the gameplay leaks that came out a couple of years ago, you could tell they were in really early stages of like alpha or whatever. Or actually, I don't know how those terms are applied in games. Like, I do know that beta is the almost finished product, but I don't know if this was alpha or beta. But it was very fucking like, it didn't even look like GTA basically. Like, they were kind of just dealing with the character models and like what the area. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With those little green lines on it. Now, I don't know if Rockstar even get fucked off if we even talk about it, because I'm pretty sure they have a crazy blanket sort of thing on anyone. I guess it would be showing the footage, wouldn't it? The pictures of the leaks or some shit like that.
Well, the Midnight Hour is world famous for,
leaks.
Getting censored and so I don't know. I guess we'll see. I've fought the best of them, I fought Aerosmith on copyright grounds.
Oh yeah, they had a pop, did they?
There's like one episode of the Midnight Hour that like no one can ever listen to again because I included fucking the like Limp Bizkit with Run DMC thing, and like I guess like Aerosmith are somehow in there because they had a song with Run DMC. Like, I don't know how it works, but this was way back, like when that actually meant something. Nowadays you can do whatever you want, but to be clear, I was just making a joke there. I didn't actually fight Steven Tyler or something about it, but yeah, there is an episode of the Midnight Hour that will never be heard again by human ears.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Steven and the boys cancel #cancel. They can't handle you. No freedom whatsoever.
No,
fucking
it's
leeches,
No. I was trying to think there was a couple of albums for me in 2023 that I got super into. I think one of the best that I heard it's called Soft Scars by an artist called, I believe it's pronounced Yule, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's like a shoegazy meets electronica type, I don't know, but really, really good stuff.
Give me a mood you'd listen to that to. After work, on your way to work, before bed. What kind of energy are we talking? Gym, run.
I would say, have you ever listened to the French band Alceste?
Is that a trick question? Obviously, no, I haven't.
Okay. Okay, let's say the intro, the opening riff of Be Quiet and Drive by Deftones.
Yes.
It would be like that mixed with like second album era of Grimes, like something like that. I don't know how to so like for me, I like listening to it while I'm just chilling and relaxing and maybe getting a little bit introspective.
But not too close to the darkness, just a little
introspection. Yeah. Just a little bit there. Yeah. Just make sure I'm still there. Yeah. Just peeking inside, not fully taking the lid off,
Yeah. Good man. I respect that. You don't want to do that though. That's too much otherwise.
No. On a Wednesday night, like, come on.
Fuck no.
But there was an album I was super looking forward to, and then it was really underwhelming when it came out, and that is the latest album from the Gaslight Anthem. It's called History Books, and I am just like, they owe me nothing, okay, and I'm not Like, I'm really disappointed in the record, but like it's the
Mm.
record that they wanted to make, so fine, whatever. The like the
Good for
problem I
them.
have with it is that I think all the songs are pretty good, but the production is literally the worst production I have ever fucking heard on a record in like I don't even know how long. It's probably genuinely like the first record that I cannot listen all the way through because the production grates on me too much. Like, um,
Was it quite tinny? Is it quite
yeah, it's
everything's really
like
loud, like a Chili Peppers album? Because they have that as well,
no,
infamously.
it's fucking the guy who mixed it is actually a really good producer. He has worked with like the National and the band and like maybe Bon Iver or I don't know, but like it's a really good producer. But they deliberately went for this kind of like a garage type sound. It's garage is not the
Hmm.
correct term, but it's like a real like rough and rugged sort of punk type production. But
Yeah,
like
like DIY, like yeah.
yeah, but these songs don't I really don't think that they require it. It's like you can hear the riffs, but you can't properly make out like the actual it's just it all sounds like muddy and cloudy
Mm-hmm.
and like um I don't know how to if anyone listening um has this record and likes it and thinks that I'm just making this up, because this has happened to me with a few things where like there's a Deftones record called Gore and everybody
Mm-hmm.
complains about the production on this record. I think it sounds fucking fine. I don't really get what the problem is, but I accept that
Mm-hmm.
enough people say it that it must be true and it's something that I'm not hearing. So when I
Mm.
complain about the production on this record, history books, people don't get what I mean. So I'm gonna tell you, the listeners, there is a track on there, track 4. It's called Positive Charge. Go put that song on, and when it gets to about 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the song, I want you to turn it up as loud as you can and just listen to the way that the voice, the audio peaks, like it distorts. It's like the whatever they had the master volume tuned to, it can't contain this note because first of all, the singer is singing through a fucking bar of soap instead of a microphone, and the I don't know, like the guitars are recorded in the back of like a truck with the doors closed. Like it just,
In a different room,
dude, it's
like yeah.
there's one song on here. It's the title track. It's called History Books. It's got Bruce Springsteen on it, and like you can absolutely tell 100% easily within 1 second that Bruce Springsteen's vocals were recorded in an actual fucking studio. And as it happens, Bruce recorded his vocals on another fucking continent. He recorded them here in Dublin and then he sent them to the guys, and they put his vocals in clean. So like it sounds like two different fucking songs. Like it just
Mm.
I really really dislike it. And like again, I'll say the songs are good, and this is the record that they wanted to make. They wanted it to sound like this. It's a stylistic choice. So like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, fuck this band. They didn't give me the record that I needed. You know, I'm not like being entitled about it. I just didn't fucking like it.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, another band of basically the exact same genre who sing about you know, diners and stuff like this. They're called the
Mm-hmm.
Menzingers. They released a record called Some of It Was True, and it's pretty fucking good. I like it a lot. It's got a song on there called Alone in Dublin, which references like a few things in Dublin City, which is pretty nice. And
Must be weird hearing that.
yeah, well, I saw them in Dublin, which would have presumably been the night that Greg wrote this song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I was getting ready to see them again, but they're not coming back to Dublin this time. So I went to Rochester in New York to see them uh,
That's what the song's about.
on the
I want to
first night
leave
of their
Dublin.
tour. Yeah, but
I had the shittest night of my life in Dublin. And I'll never go back. Um,
no,
no,
they're crazy
but that
good
must be
band.
weird hearing that. So sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, they're really good live. The new songs are like really tight. They sound great live. Yeah, they did a great show. Super cool band. I think anyone who likes them, you should definitely go see them. You won't be disappointed. But yeah, no, it's really cool that they have a song about Dublin. It's they're a band that kind of I had been listening to for like I'd been listening to them since like 2011, but not in
Hmm.
a big fan kind of a way. Um,
Part of like the rotation of like
yeah, and then
other things you also listen to. Yeah.
yeah, like basically all of that kind of punk adjacent stuff. But
Hmm.
then the Gaslight Anthem went away in like 2016 or 2015. I think they split up. And I think the Menzingers just filled that void for me. Like they became the Diners and American Cars band that I would listen
Hmm.
to. And yeah, over the course of the pandemic, like I got really into them. Like I bought all their records and like I listened to them on my record player, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Nice.
so for them have a song about Dublin is like it does feel pretty fucking cool. Like it's a little special.
It's a little
Yeah,
bonus, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. It is.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
They don't write enough songs about Norwich, if I'm honest.
I can
Um,
name only like 5 songs about Norwich.
Five.
I don't fucking know.
Five. I the only Norwich references that there is in popular culture, as far as I'm aware, is through Alan Partridge. Because
Oh yeah,
if you ever
true.
listen to the audiobook, speaking of which, his new audiobook is phenomenal. And he actually came to town. Weirdly, him and David Mitchell both came to town like quite close because they both had books out
Ah,
in
nice.
quite short proximity.
Good combo
But
of guys
obviously,
right there.
yeah, yeah. But obviously, old Stevie Coogan was in character the whole time. One of my buddies went to see him. It was really funny. He said he was like just quite witty, and considering the man's always in character.
Mm.
It must be weird that though. To like live it and be like, I'm gonna meet normal people, but I'm like this fake whatever. That's a whole
I
different
would
train of
lose my
thought.
fucking mind if I was like, if I was like being a character in real life all the time. I would simply become the character. I don't know how how do you create separation? Like
Well, I
it's
guess you go and play Jimmy Savile. Then you go,
understandable.
actually, different character.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of which, that's another thing, particular highlight of my viewing, not necessarily a pleasant watch, but I think it's four episodes on BBC, In Plain Sight, which is based on the book In Plain Sight, to do with old Jay Savile.
Is this
Yeah,
was this the one that was shown on Netflix or is it a different
no, that's the documentary, but it's
okay.
essentially that with scene. So the way the series plays out is it's like the writer is going to meet Savile like he did in real life, and then through that they're talking about the events or things in the past, and then you get taken to the past. Your timelines are all over the place. It goes to the 60s, it goes to the 80s, goes to the 90s, and then it
Right.
goes to like 2009 or 10 before the book came out, before he died. Um, Interspliced with at the end of every episode real victims of those episodes talk about what happened. So you get his version, you get the probably what is essentially the truest version. um and again, you know the outcome. He's not going to get caught. He certainly got away with it, and he died, you know essentially. And that's also, by the way, why I find the argument when people go, oh, he hasn't been trialed yet, these are just accusations. And yes, of course things can be like that, but then you can always use his example and go, well, that means he was an innocent man because this dude died without ever being trialed for fucking anything.
Who the fuck is
um
saying that? Who is saying that he hasn't been tried, therefore we
It's
can't
mainly
say.
about the Russell Brand situation. I
Ah,
kind of just
yes.
morphed it into
Of
that,
course. Yeah,
because
yeah.
of obviously the stuff that came out about him, and people were like, "Well, he hasn't been tried." Then people make the argument by going, "Well, Savile wasn't. O.J. Simpson was technically innocent in a court of law, even though we know he killed two people,
Yeah.
allegedly. Don't
Mhm,
sue me,
yeah.
O.J." And it was proven in the civil court, which isn't the same because you don't do
Nah.
prison time. That's like the
Yeah.
one. It's like the Alex Jones thing where you just have to pay people. You don't go to jail at the end.
Also, the
Um,
burden of proof is much lower in civil court, as far as I know.
yeah, yes, yeah, because it's about settling it. It's not
Yeah.
about proving it in terms of sending somebody to jail with irrefutable sort of evidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe I could be wrong. But yeah, the show is fascinating to watch because obviously everything that I heard, because I didn't live in this country at the height of Savile mania. To me, The second I laid eyes on this fucking guy on the TV, you sort of look and you're like,
That's a
why is that
nonce.
scare? Yeah, I've seen. I mean, you could probably look at most BBC footage from the 70s and
Yeah,
80s
yeah.
and point at someone and go, "There's another one. Hey, there goes another one." Um, you know, but yeah, you just sort of take one look at this guy and you're like, why the fuck is that scarecrow come to life? And why is no one just getting it out of the
Yeah.
fucking house? What's going on there?
Yeah.
But and also, I guess back in the old days, TVs were smaller. So maybe if you have a tiny TV in the corner of the house, it's not like you're confronted with this absolute monster on a 50-inch TV, on Super HD, and you're like, fuck me, this is fucked up. But the
Yeah.
show is worth the watch because my point was that obviously when I moved here, he didn't pass us away. Everything that I heard was like quite jokey, obviously the non stuff, but like more like, hey, it's fucking Jimmy Savile in the making. It's used as like a punchline. So to actually go back, and I also watched that documentary on Netflix alongside as well. It's quite a particularly grim day, so I had to like end with something light at the end of both of those things. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it is worth remembering what he did because it is absolutely bottom of the barrel. This isn't breaking news, but it's just fucking deplorable. But yeah, Steve Coogan absolutely smashed it. He had the mannerisms right. He hit that perfect point between not being a good caricature, but not being like a sketch show type of satire.
Yeah, yeah.
Because obviously when the show starts and he comes out wearing the tracksuit and he's got like the signature pedophile hair, the nonce hair with the grown over crow's nest of a hair, and you sort of go, this is the oddest Alan Partridge episode I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you get into it more and you sort of go, wow, this is actually like very well put together, and they do treat it with a lot of respect. And I don't know, I just wanted to mention it because I think it's something that unfortunately has to be dramatized sometimes in order for it to really click. Sometimes just reading the words and kind of having news bits about him here and there. But yeah, I'd recommend that if you're feeling particularly gloomy, maybe give it a miss. But if you're ever interested in that whole thing, it's definitely worth a little watch. It's only 4 episodes, so it's 4 hours at most. So you can then palate cleanse with, like, I don't know, The Big Bang Theory or Friends or Whose Line Is It Anyway? None of those things are probably current anymore.
Did they ever find out whose line it was in that show?
It was Drew Carey's line.
Ah,
Yes.
before Kane eliminated him from the Royal Rumble.
That's right. For his Hall of Fame induction as well.
Yeah.
In which he was nicely booed. Yeah, so did you watch Oppenheimer? And
Yes.
Barbie as well?
I did not watch Barbie. I don't know why. I don't have any interest in it. Like, even like ironically, I don't think that it would suck or whatever. I just think it's really not like for me.
Maybe
Like, I don't know.
maybe a better movie to take someone with you. You get me? As opposed to just rocking up on your own, you know?
I've never rocked up to any cinema on my own. And if I
Nor have I.
if I were doing that for the
Don't go
first time,
cinema.
it would certainly not be Barbie.
I like a ticket for one, please. Barbie, please. Okay. No, I've never gone to cinema on my own. Which is also why I haven't gone to the cinema in about 10 years. I don't really
boy.
like cinema. This isn't nothing to do with my 2023. I can tell you the last few movies I've seen at the cinema, and that should probably give you an idea of how long it's been. The Woman in Black.
I never even heard of that movie.
It's got a few jump scares. It's a Daniel Radcliffe movie. It's kind of a horror slash thriller thing. Shutter Island.
Oh, Jesus
How long ago was that?
Christ. That's like 2011, I want to say.
Yeah. The last Harry Potter film, because when a girlfriend at the time dragged me to it, and I felt like do the nice thing. But I never liked the cinema experience. I get very restless. I think I have ADHD, probably like the rest of us do of this generation.
Yeah, we all have ADHD and autism. What the fuck is that about?
Yeah. If you're the type of person who has to have the TV on so you can go on your phone, and the TV is essentially background noise, yes, you might have a little problem with attention. So at the cinema, I just get like very restless, and more often than not, restlessness then leads me to being like too still, and I just fall asleep. So both of those movies I was describing, at points I just fully fell asleep. Like
Man,
it's yeah,
that is
it's not the
just
healthiest thing for me. And also
yeah.
these days, the length of movies, 3 hours. Are you fucking kidding me, bro?
3.5, I think, Oppenheimer. But I
Yeah, I
will.
can't believe people committed to that. But you
It's
gobbled it all up in
yeah,
one sitting.
but I love cinema. Like I love the cinema. I love yeah. It's just it's great to me. And this movie was obviously going to be an experience and a sort of a you know I think a lot of people will remember watching Oppenheimer for the first time. It was it was
Kind of
great.
thing you think about afterwards. Those kinds of movies that you're like maybe going on his Wikipedia or something like that.
Yeah,
Actually
yeah.
learning about what he did and
It,
who he was and which bits are true and so on. Yeah.
it was really well paced. It had a really good cast, like a really, really strong cast.
Mm.
Lots of cameos and stuff like this.
Yeah, John Cena's in it.
John
Oh wait, no, he's in
Cena,
Barbie.
John Cena plays Oppenheimer. Yeah, it was crazy.
That would be
Yeah,
fucking amazing. It's
he
like I
br-
didn't
he,
know Oppenheimer fucking was a bodybuilder as well, and he just the henchest scientist the world's ever seen.
he barges in while Einstein is teaching a class and goes, "Your time is up. My time is now." Uh,
Sells the Nazis.
yeah,
He's like, nope,
yeah, yeah.
I'm going over, brother. Shoulder, shoulder. You can't. Does the five knuckle shuffle. I am become death. F you, STFU. Does the move. Um, but yeah. So did you But did you get a sense of the man then? Did you get to know Oppenheimer truly?
Yeah, I think so. I think it
Hmm.
does a really good job of it is literally just about him, like more so than it's about the bomb. Even there's a point in the movie where you feel like it's over until you kind of remember that it's a story about Oppenheimer himself, and so it goes in a little bit more like into his life and stuff like that. So
Post atomic bomb, I'm guessing. Yeah.
yeah, I think some people might find that a bit jarring, but
Hmm.
it did feel like it was meant to be over, but then the rest of it also kind of flew in. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it was a really good movie, and I think it was well paced, and it didn't have any of the usual Christopher Nolan audio issues that his movies tend to have. So that was pretty good
Hmm.
because you're in the cinema for fucking 3.5 hours watching it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably a movie that I'll watch again, I think. Um, I reckon, yeah. I ate all my popcorn while watching it. That usually doesn't happen, so, you
That
know.
boring was it? I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to eat.
I
I have to do
needed to
something.
eat
I'm
my way.
kidding.
Yeah, no, it
No,
was
that's
good.
that's nice.
I had a couple of
Mm.
pints before it as well.
Mm.
And then a few more pints after. And then the next movie I went to see was The Killers of Flower Moon, which is about the same fucking length. So yeah, very big year for long movies. I thought The Killers of Flower Moon was an incredible movie as well, like really, really, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
The time also flies by when you're watching that. It's harrowing,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I don't know. I really feel like Martin Scorsese just can do no wrong in my eyes. Like, I think he's just the best like filmmaker ever. He's so consistent, and I don't know. Yeah, he's just great. His style is so kind of fluid, and
He gets it. He
yeah, he
just
does.
gets it.
He gets it.
Much
Yeah.
like much like the guy that made what's his fucking name? The guy that made the Bethesda games, it just works. Even though he's releasing games that don't work, but there you are.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Exactly
So
like that.
I'm guessing Scorsese got like De Niro's in that. Is De Niro in that? I
De
bet he's in
Niro
that.
and DiCaprio both in it.
Oh baby, he's like, get me my boys, get
Yeah.
me my working men.
I'm putting together a
Um,
crew.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Joe Pesci's come out of retirement again for
Again,
your
yeah.
fucking movies. No, that's cool. I did hear a lot of hype about that. And it was in production for a while.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember reading
right.
about it a little while back. What's the synopsis though? What's it about?
I don't
without
know
being too
how much.
spoilery?
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid. So it's
I want to say crime. It's Scorsese,
well,
right?
you would actually love this movie, and you would love
Yeah.
the subject matter. It's so there was like a little. Oh man, I'm really hungover, and I'm gonna butcher this, and I feel embarrassed in advance for the way that I've described this movie.
Quickly pull up the Wikipedia, the IMDb.
I'll keep it as bare bones
Organic.
as possible here.
Yeah.
There is a little town, a little region of America that was owned by a native tribe, and they had some type of arrangement with the United States government whereby this was their land that they actually owned. And what ended up happening was they struck oil and they got super rich. I think they were the wealthiest region in the entire world per capita. Um, so these natives had so much money and wealth, and they were basically like white people were doing all the kind of working class jobs, like driving them around, and like they would be brought in for like construction projects and things like this, kind of like the inverse of like what happens in like developing countries and things like that. um
Yeah,
so
especially in the western side, right?
yeah. I yeah so I don't want to say any more than that. I feel like
hmm
I think you can kind of figure out where it's going from there, and
Yes, there are
y-
no complications. They keep
yeah,
all the money.
then yeah.
And to this day, things are fine. And for once, there's no twists. It's just everything just worked out. Fucking brilliant. Um,
Exactly
yeah,
that. Yeah. It's just
yeah.
a real feel good
Well,
tale.
yeah. I think it's. I mean, again, I won't try to spoil it either, but there's a lot, especially in America. There's a lot of history of people taking over towns. There being
Yeah.
insurrections. I think I was reading something about in the 20s how there was this insurrection in the 20 yeah in Oklahoma where they like sort of Confederate people like completely overthrow the government, like the
The
local government
That's actually
took over.
that happens in this movie. It doesn't happen on screen, but it's referenced, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's a part of the plot. Yeah, so
Mm.
that exact
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, that's worth a watch then.
dude, I
Whenever it
promise
comes
you.
out.
Now it's very long, so you might have to watch it in segments. Or did you watch The
Two
Irishman at
settings.
all?
Yeah, in segments.
Yeah. So you'll have to watch
Yeah.
this in segments, but I think you'll like it. I could see you you would probably be more interested in the book that it's based on. I think
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's a very you kind of book. I feel like the subject
Nice.
matter is like, I don't know. You're very interested in like that type of thing, and I think
Yeah, oppression.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah. From the
I love
oppressor
reading about
side, of
it.
course, you're
Yeah,
reading it like
obviously.
trying to figure out a better way to oppress people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but no,
Yeah. I'm like tips. Give me tips. Come
it,
on. How'd you do it? Break it down.
how did you do
Yeah.
it? Come on, talk to
Yeah.
me.
Come on, big man. Tell me. Yeah. Yeah. No, I would. I think I would. Because I do read about that shit most time before I'm going to bed. Hostile takeovers in like Macedonia in 1963. I'm
Nice
like,
little story
yes.
of oppression before bed.
Yeah, that bedtime oppression. Um, delicious. Yeah, really sends you off to bed in a great mood.
Yeah.
No, I have to put that on the list 'cause, if you recommend it, then it can't ever be that bad. I watched many things as I do. But
Did you
there's
watch
a particular.
anything made after 1989?
That's a different subject entirely. Um, there is a movie that I watched that I had never heard of. I only watched it this year. It's a Darren Aronofsky movie called Mother. Have
Okay.
you heard of this? Um,
Um. Uh.
2017. So we're going back a little bit here. Um, it's with Jennifer
Jennifer Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yes. I have heard of this
Yes,
movie. Yeah.
and the man with a giant head, Javier Bardem.
Is it Mother with
Um,
an exclamation mark on it?
Mother. Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, good man. Um, it's one of those movies that if I was to describe the plot, it wouldn't make any sense because the entire plot is an allegory, or basically it's a reference to something else. It's and then
Yeah.
once you finish the movie, it's one of those movies, proper movie that you go, ah, I see what's going on. But Mothers,
Yeah.
there's a reason why she's called that. No characters have any names, but they do have references to biblical texts. So their names are usually to do with stuff to do with that. And I think even by saying that, I might have given it a bit away. It's a bit of a Marmite film. Some people say it's one of the better films you'll ever see. Other people would say it's a kind of like disjointed, weird movie that they at the end maybe just plot on a little bit of like, hey, it's this, haha. But he didn't really
That's
explain it to such degree.
that
So
is his. Darren Aronofsky does make movies that are polarizing to the audience, but they tend to be there tends to be consensus among the critics, I think, with like if
yeah,
his movies
yeah.
are good or not. You know.
They're the thinking person movies, so they're not
Yeah.
movies you can just switch. I mean, I even Requiem for a Dream, which is not nowhere near as deep maybe as this one. I really like that movie. The Wrestler, fucking hell! I have actually not watched that movie that often because it's a bit depressing, but it is a good
Wait, but
movie.
Requiem for a Dream is fine. Dude,
It's kind of fine.
I will
Some
never
of the
watch
scenes
Requiem
are
for a Dream.
fucked.
I watched it one time and I think it's amazing, like 9.5 out of 10. But I will never fucking watch it again, unless maybe if I'm looking for the motivation to kill myself. Then I would be like, yeah, let's give that one watch, and that'll
Or
that
if
ought to do it.
you're with someone who's never seen it. I guess.
No,
that
even
would be
then,
the-
nah, I'm
Even
not.
then,
No, I'm not
too
doing
bad.
it.
You're not
No.
gonna see it with me.
I will never fucking
Um,
watch that movie again. No.
He also did Black Swan, which is hilarious. So The Wrestler and Black Swan was one movie originally. It was going to be about a ballerina dancer that meets a washed up pro wrestler. And the fact
Wow.
that he then broke that down into two separate movies, pretty fucking cool. And I think he also did The Whale, which
Yeah, The
was
Whale. Yeah.
about a man who's fat.
There's
It's
one.
about a big fat man who's fat, and they go, "You're fat," and he cries. I actually haven't seen the movie. I
I've
just saw
seen
the
one
trailer.
still from the movie, and that's the cover of Brendan Fraser with the kind of like inflated like head that he has,
blob.
and yeah, and that's it.
The
that's
Nutty
the only
Professor
fucking. I
sort of
don't.
thing.
I don't believe anyone has seen it. I think everyone has just seen that one fucking image, and they were like, "Yes, give this
It's
the
emotional.
Oscar," or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, look, poor Brendan Fraser. He's fat in this one.
I
Yeah,
will
won a ton
say,
of shit.
speaking of Brendan Fraser, actually, he's in The Killers of Flower Moon, and I,
Oh, nice.
I love Brendan Fraser. I'm a big fan. Love The Mummy, all that
Same.
stuff. But he
Same.
is the worst thing about The Killers of Flower Moon. His character is ridiculous. They're
Hmm.
so over the top, so out of place. It's so strange. It's like his character has walked in from another movie set or something. Like, it's really weird.
And then no one noticed. They just carried
Yeah.
on. They're like, yeah, it's fine.
It's
Um,
just
that
fucking
reminds
strange.
me of I don't know if you ever saw this, but it was the someone made a series about the OJ case, which is the one that has
Ross from Friends, isn't it?
Ross as the Kardashian, but fucking John Travolta plays Robert Shapiro, which is one of OJ's lawyers, and to say he was miscast and overacted would be an understatement. It's similar to what you said. There's two different movies going on here. There's the movie that John Travolta thinks he's in, or the series rather, and then there's everybody else who's working with the script. Like the way he says certain lines, the way he reacts to certain things, it was almost like he's like, normal people / this character react like this, but I'm doing some sort of Nicolas Cage thing here, where I'm sort of going a bit off into my own thing, and no one's really telling me to stop.
Yeah, he's gone. Travolta has done some weird things lately, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast talking about Bruce Willis a while ago, and it was like about how just strange his movies are. Like he's in all these movies where he.
Did you see his later shit movies?
Yeah, so this is what the podcast was about, like how like his name is just worth this amount of money, and he turns up and he phones it in, and then he goes home. And I was like,
Literally, in
okay.
some movies, he's like half whispering and grumbling.
Yeah,
in
but
some
then,
of them,
but did you see he got diagnosed with that like
yes, he
really-
had that illness.
Yeah, like
I
the
don't know name of it.
degenerative. I can't remember it either. And when I try and recall it, I can only think of synesthesia, which is that thing where you can see
Colors.
sounds. Yeah, you see colors and
Yes,
sounds or whatever.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
they have like a yeah, you can misinterpret touch and smell
yeah,
in a different way, I
that's
believe, or like a
not what
cat's
Bruce Willis
meow or
says.
something.
Uh,
No, no, no. But that reduces your speech, your ability to have
yeah,
that's so is
he's
that the one? I think Chris
basically.
Kamara's got the same thing. Is it Chris Kamara? The Sky
Really?
Sports guy? Yeah,
I'm
with
not
the
sure.
one with the little tash,
Yeah, I
unbelievable
know him. Yeah,
Jeff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, him.
He's
Yeah, I
got a
believe he has the
disease that
same
makes
thing.
him not able to see who got sent off in Portsmouth against Fulham in 2007.
Yes, you can't use the excuse back then, me old friend. Maybe you should have gone to Specsavers, and you
Oh,
might see better.
well, maybe you should go also, Jeff, because you couldn't see when you were driving home the other night, and you won't wear your glasses because you're afraid of getting slagged off. So maybe you just let me call the game, and uh,
Oh man, if people don't know what that is, that's
just
hilarious.
Google
But
the worst banter of all time and watch
yeah,
the.
British television at its best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With Richard Keys and the other clown. But yeah. So my guess is that he was hemorrhaging in these movies because he already had the early stages of that
Yeah,
condition.
yeah.
Eh,
He's maximizing his estate value for his family when he goes,
Yeah,
basically. So that's what's going on,
yeah.
and that explains all of that. So
But the movies are bad.
I
They're
brought,
really
yeah,
bad.
absolutely. But I just brought that up to uh like ponder if maybe John Travolta has some, like, similar, not that he has a degenerative disease or whatever,
The
but like.
specific, yeah, yeah.
But like, apparently, I haven't seen The Fanatic yet. That's the movie that Fred Durst directed with John Travolta in it.
Oh my
And
God, I had no idea about
oh,
that.
dude, I really, I've had the urge to watch this like really strongly the last few days. So I think I am going to seek it out and give it a watch, and I'll let you know. But apparently, he's at his most
Please.
Cagean, Nicholas Cagean. That is in like, his performance is just so out there. Apparently, so um,
We'll see about that. Yeah. So it's
yeah,
literally just like I need a bankable star. I mean, that's what The Rock is. We can apply this not just
yeah.
to the ones that maybe were A-listers 10, 15 years. That is what Kevin Hart and The Rock is. And that
Hmm.
is also why I find both of them, they're really endearing. They're very funny people. They're nice people. They're not, as far as I'm aware, there's not a lot of negative stuff about either one of those men. But there's just something about watching a trailer, Kevin Hart and The Rock
Yeah.
playing Kevin Hart and The Rock. And
I
you're just
know.
like, fuck off. Oh, and then they go, and this one's got Ryan Reynolds in it. Oh, fucking brilliant. Another guy who will literally just plays sarcastic Canadian man in every single one of his fucking movies.
Ryan
Um,
Reynolds is like a much better, like, just guy than he is like actor. Like,
Actor, yeah,
he's just,
yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen the Deadpool movies. I'm sure that they're good or whatever, but pretty much
Their
everything
peak
I've seen
Ryan
him.
Reynolds
I,
comedy.
I don't really get how he has developed the star profile that he has, because like, he's a draw. Like, his name brings in money, but I kind of just
That's
don't
right.
really get why, honestly.
Yeah, that's right. He managed. I mean, yeah, because he's. I watched Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah,
Him
yeah,
and
yeah.
Rob McElhenney. I mean, Rob McElhenney seems like such a dude, but even Ryan Reynolds seems to be like such a down to earth, nice, genuinely
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
person. But all
yeah.
of his acting, he just turns up that prickishness. I
Yeah.
think people used to say the same thing about Hugh Grant back in the 90s, where
And
he'd be like,
Greg Kinnear as well. That's like his big thing.
"Yes,
Yeah.
you're just like a bit of a smug prick and a bit
Yeah.
of like a know-it-all, and we're gonna like put you on TV, and they're just that guys for every movie or rom-com or whatever.
Yeah.
And once you've seen one, maybe you've seen them all. Um, but yeah, but anyways, back to Mother though. Definitely worth the watch. It's not that long of a movie. That's my big selling point as well.
Yeah.
Um, hour 40, and I
Okay.
promise you, by the time that movie ends, I guess similar to what you said about Requiem for a Dream, you will feel a bit empty inside, but not in a satisfying way, in a like, what the fuck did I just watch? Especially the last sort of 15, 20 minutes, because the movie gets utterly, insanely ridiculous.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so it's asking you to take a big leap in what you think is acceptable in movies. I won't say much more than that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. But yeah, what about games wise? Have you been doing anything? Have you been playing any new? Did you play Starfield? Are you a cool guy or what?
No, I there's something about those games. That's Bethesda, right? Starfield,
Yes,
or okay,
yes. Same old
I
shite.
will offend every Bethesda fan right now and just say that those games to me feel kind of soulless and emotionless, and I just feel like the stories in them are not enough to get me like emotionally involved in some way.
And they're
But
janky from a play
yeah,
perspective. You know, I talked about how GTA copied and pasted stuff, but at least you can still play GTA 5, a game from 2013, and still be like, this looks incredible for what is essentially a PS. Well, it is not essentially. It is a PS3 game or an early PS4 game. Bethesda seemed to have been like, you know what we did for Fallout 3 in 2007? The jankiness when you shoot, the jankiness of movement. Let's just do a space version of that. And they do that.
yeah.
Then they do Skyrim. Then they do like Fallout 4, which again, I actually am playing Fallout 4 at the moment because I'm trying to understand why these games are good.
My friend, you're on a what you
So
call it,
quite the journey.
a noble quest, but I don't feel like you're going to get what you're looking for.
No. Well, someone told me they were like, if you think of it as an RPG rather than an action RPG, it might be easier to accept how janky it is coming from turn-based games in my
Yeah.
playthroughs and stuff. But even with that in mind, I'm still a bit like this. This game doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know if it's a old school RPG or it wants to be a Call of Duty style shooter.
Hmm.
Um, but I would advise people to give Starlink. What the fuck is it called?
Starfield, is it?
I just said it. Yeah, Star Watch. Yeah, Starfield, Star Wars,
Yeah, Star
Starmobile,
Trek.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Late Trek, early Trek. Give it a miss. Apparently it's quite
I
empty. The world,
I
the
did
universe, rather.
I played 800 hours of Football Manager 23 this year. Which amazingly is
Tell me about
actually
this.
it's more time than I put into AoE 2 this year, and I think that must be the first time another game has beaten AoE 2 since maybe 2016 or 2017 in my life. So
Nice.
yeah, I started off a save with Getafe, and I'm still on that save. I'm currently managing Spurs. They're my second team that I went from Getafe to Spurs, and
Right. Okay.
I'm in the year like 2044 maybe, or 2043 maybe. It's pretty much entirely regens. Like there's a couple of guys still kicking about, like 36-year-old players who are teenagers
Brian Hill.
IRL. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Still rocking the Beatles look for that kid.
the yeah, I don't know. I got really, really, really into it. And it had been a few years since an FM game clicked with me. I think
Yes.
I think I bought 22. I think I streamed it on my Twitch
Mm-hmm.
channel. But I didn't get into it at all. I had 21, or did I skip 21 and I had 20? I can't remember.
Or did they even skip 21 entirely because of the pandemic? It might have been just an update, like with
Nah,
Pez, maybe? No?
nah, they definitely did one. I just can't remember if I
Hmm.
had it or not. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know. I remember before the pandemic, I had an FM save with Celtic that I was playing, so that must have been 19 or 20. And
Hmm.
then yeah, I played 22 on stream, didn't like it, and then yeah, I just this one it just fucking hit me. Like I'm into it, and I'm still playing it all
Hmm.
the time. It's really good. Um,
As a streamer though, like if you this is the thing I always thought about streaming games as well. This has now become me interviewing El De Niro now. It's changed format. What do you think on now? But no, just a quick question on this. Like, what happens if you're playing a game on stream and you go about 20 minutes and you're like, I fucking hate this. Do you have to play it all the way through? Does the audience go, no, you said you're the FIFA. This is why I would never time myself to be like a singular game guy or a
yeah.
singular series guy to be like, oh, I'm the FIFA guy. Well, if they're putting out shit games and that's your main income, How do you enjoy that? So have you found that? Do you ever play games you don't like and
Yeah, I did it for years on my on my fucking YouTube channel.
my whole life? Um,
Fucking
yeah,
career
like
mode videos. Yeah.
there is an enjoyment initially, and when the games are new, blah 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 blah. But once you play, like say, especially with FIFA, I don't know about PES because obviously I am biased. I love PES, but
Hmm.
not eFootball. We're talking about PES. Um, but even with PES and stuff like that, it's like after I do a season, maybe 2 seasons at a club, I just want to like start over completely. Or sometimes halfway through when I'm not winning any trophies and I'm playing as a a good team because I usually like to take teams bottom up. So my latest one has been I've taken Livorno from Serie B to the Champions League in 3 seasons, but no need to clap. It's fine. I am that good.
Yeah.
On superstar difficulty, by the way, people. But would you then just not play it anymore? How do you? Well, you don't play FIFA anymore, so I guess that is the
Yeah.
answer, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, like for me, when I was playing it like as my job,
Yes.
it feels it's a little bit disconnected from that because it's like I'm not playing a game necessarily to enjoy the game. I'm like creating a kind this is so fucking wanky what I'm about to say, but like a package or like an entertainment type of like project or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's not I don't.
True.
I have to play the
Not
game.
just
I
the
have
game.
to
Yeah.
record it. I have to like edit it, slice it up. I have to like I create these like little storylines as I go on, like stuff like
Hmm.
that.
You've got to
So
engage if you're streaming with the audience as well, because if it's a
yeah,
live thing, right? Yeah. Yeah, so
but I
it's a lot more than just turning on the PlayStation or whatever. Yeah.
there's a
Mm.
difference. Like when I was doing FIFA as a job, like I was, my audience was like a few thousand people are watching every single episode. But like with streaming, my audience is like between 10 and 15 people who are basically just like my actual friends like at this
That's how
point.
it
So
tends. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
just be like, I'm not playing this fucking game or whatever. But like, I don't know. When
Yeah.
I was streaming at the height of the pandemic, like I had a pretty good kind of story career going on with
Hmm.
Benevento in Italy and stuff like that.
Oh, nice
Um,
kit. Very nice kit on them.
yeah, they've got a witch on their logo.
Yes, they do. Yes, the
Interesting.
yellow and the red.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
we like I don't know, like I brought like some young player from Spain, turned him into a superstar, eventually bought like Ronaldo's region and like all this kind of shit. And I think once I won the Champions League, I was like, okay, we're done with this now. And I don't
Yeah.
know if I even played FIFA again after that on stream.
Mm.
I played a few games. I played a game called Cloudpunk, which is a game like I actually played all the way through to the end, and it was pretty fun,
Hmm.
honestly.
Mm.
I think I played Metal Gear Solid 2, but I couldn't beat like the Metal Gears at the end and then I started like I've done this 1,000 times in my life. I know I can do it. But I was on stream and I started getting real fucking anxious and like embarrassed and stuff. So I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not
From
playing this again.
funny,
Like,
from
yeah,
funny, haha, look how much I suck to like, no, guys, I'm actually good at this.
yeah,
You're just all putting me off. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I feel I think I think one of the things that has hindered me in my like content creation like career more than anything
Hmm.
else is that I don't think that people are really interested in me, and then when I get too like passionate about something or whatever, then I start to feel embarrassed about it because I keep saying in my head, there's like a voice that's like, dude, nobody fucking cares. And
Yeah.
it's the one, like, for some reason in my head, the podcast is exempt from that because the
Hmm.
podcast is like a blank screen with just my voice. So, like, if you're listening to this, like, you must fucking care, really. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I'm like
Yeah.
playing like a Metal Gear Solid 2 and I'm like trying to tell people how like I love this game so much that it makes me literally want to cry actual tears. Like I have such an intense love for it and it's such an important part of my life and um I don't know, like it means something to me. Like that game is like a parent or a sibling or and then I just get real embarrassed. I'm just like
Oh yeah,
but I don't
I'm
know,
even the
yeah.
same. I'm the same. Obviously, I don't stream, never have, probably never will. Maybe I'll do it. But I think, okay, so there's two sides to that before we stress what you said first, because the second you do start thinking everyone cares and I'm cool and I'm hype, that's bad too. To go,
Yeah,
everyone does want to hear what I have to say, or everyone does want to watch me play a game. I think there is certainly a danger of being like, I am important. You create almost like a lords and peasants situation where you're like, I'm this and you're the
yeah,
viewer, so shut the fuck up. So it is good to have that little voice in the back of your mind going, no one cares. It's just, I think sometimes that is more crippling than it needs to
yeah,
be, But I'm the same. Like even like socially, like so what MGS is to you is what Final Fantasy X is for me. I've played that game 20 times since I bought it 20 years ago on PS2. I played on PS3, I played on PS4, played on PS5, completed it numerous times. But if I'm in public or talking to someone I don't know, or even people I do know, I actually pretend I don't know half the information I do because I know like specifically, okay, you need to fight this guy, you need to go here. To get this specific weapon, you've got to do this 20 times. The quickest way to get to this boss, and there's a not like a cheat code, but there's like a quick way of beating this boss that a lot of people know about. I actually downplay it for that exact, and same with music. I guess anything, because I'm strong subject on certain things, wrestling as well. When I'm talking to people who are wrestling fans, I actually don't. I hold back on being as nerdy as I could be. Does that make sense?
kinda. I think I do this with like like I'm a really big Oasis fan, but
Mm-hmm.
most people who are like really pleased with themselves for their music opinions, they hate Oasis, and it's really popular to be like, no, Oasis are bad. So sometimes I'll be like, actually, to be honest with you, I don't really do this anymore. But like 5 years ago, me would have done that, like pretended like, oh yeah, Oasis obviously are shit, and we hate them.
Yeah,
But I do
yeah,
like this one
yeah,
good thing that they do. But like, I think
yeah,
nowadays
yeah.
I'm fully I think I'll fucking like fight people about like how
No,
you
I
know.
see that. I see that side of it where you don't just downplay it, but then there's the bit where you go beyond. Where, say, for example, they're and maybe it's just a pedantic thing too. So, say if they're talking about a certain album or a certain song, but that album or that song is not from that album. That
Oh
is a B
yeah.
side
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you heard
yeah.
in a Japan only release. I always withdraw my mind of going, don't mention that because I don't think this adds anything to the conversation by going, well, actually, the song you're
I
talking about is the fourth
yeah.
song, not the fifth song, you fucking dickhead.
I
You know?
wish I had that. I actually I don't have that filter, and I really wish I did, because I think sometimes I come across as a massive cunt when like I remember
Yeah, I've spoken to you on text. Yes.
I,
Very aware of your opinions on Tool and plenty more beside, mate.
I was uh I was in my friend's house one time. We were drinking and listening to music, and he put on or maybe it was a playlist or something, and Lose Yourself by Eminem came on, and he was like, "Oh
Oh,
man,
God.
this makes me really want to listen to that album." And I was like, "What fucking album? Lose Yourself isn't on any album. It's on the 8 Mile soundtrack. It's like a fucking."
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh no, it's on the Eminem show." And I'm like, "It fucking is not on the Eminem
No, it
show. I
isn't.
don't know what Eminem show you owned, but Lose Yourself isn't fucking on it." And I'm exaggerating here for comedic effect, but like that's in my head, that's how much of a cunt I came across as, you know. And it's like,
Yeah.
did I need to say that? I could have just
I need to
said,
shut him
yeah,
down like that. I could
yeah,
have just,
like,
yeah, because there's a
just
different version of events in which he says that, and you go, yeah, man, you should go for it.
yeah, I
And it
know.
just ends there. But there's this need to go, no, I know more. I know more than
Yeah,
you on this.
but
Hear
it's
me
not.
out.
I don't even think it's the I know more. It's just like you've said something that's wrong, and you need to fucking know that you were wrong. Like no, but I swear, this isn't like an ego or a pride thing. It's closer to like autism or something. I don't know.
Yeah, where the little trigger goes, correct him now. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not for any gain or for any like, well, this would be a better end to the conversation. Me correcting a man, we're just making a casual point about something. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
actually, you're wrong. But
Yeah.
again, I do the same thing. If people don't know how to pronounce Portuguese names for footballers, and I'm like, it's not actually Jose, it's Jose Mourinho. We don't do the silent H thing. Um, and my name's not Miguel either, by the way. But that one I
It's
do correct people on
it's
obviously all the
Miggy.
time. It's Miggity.
Miggity.
But I do find that, yeah, and it's like, why did I have to say it's Jose, not Jose? They were just gonna make a point about something to do with football, but my brain went, before we do that, we have to clarify who we're talking about. And by
Yeah.
the way, you're wrong. So
No, that's the kind
fucking
of
sort that shit
situation.
out.
You don't have to correct them, but like when you speak, you'll be like, "Yeah, the thing I like about Jose."
Jose, yeah, yeah, yeah. Jose Mourinho. You know, it's pronounced not even Mourinho because that's also incorrect. It's Jose Mourinho. That's how we'd say it. But
Nah, I
yeah,
think that you guys are actually wrong about this, because
yeah, yeah.
the English media says Jose Mourinho, so I'm pretty sure that they would know. Like they wouldn't report an incorrect thing. So maybe
No,
you go back over there to Lisbon, I believe that's how you
I tell
pronounce
the
it.
lads.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you speak to them and you be like, "Sorry, lads, are we
yeah.
wrong?"
Yeah, listen, Jose and you, Jose and you, Joseph. Your names are fucking bullshit. I've heard from the English, the big English. They said no good. They cut it off.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's sorry. We just want a complete tangent there about something else. But
It's the nature
I
of it.
always find that interesting about content creation to just be like,
Oh,
what
that's
if
where
I
we
don't?
started. Yeah.
Yes, this was this from coming out to correcting
Holy
people, which
shit.
is the most us thing in the world. Which is probably how we became friends in the first place. I was like, I like the way you corrected that guy and called him a piece of
No,
shit.
I
You
remember what it
vice
was.
versa.
It was
Oh
that
God.
somebody said something. Like I think we were talking about like just in abstract talking about it was probably honestly like Slipknot or something. And some guy came in and was like, the Slipknot are like not good. And then you said, "Yeah, but then again, nobody asked for your opinion." And you got to remember, kids, in 2004, this was cutting edge. Like you could
This
not
is
get more.
hilarious.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man. But
Because
yeah.
yeah, I actually do remember vaguely that. Because yeah, had a proper setup in delivery, a
Yeah.
sort of like, actually, but then again, that's a good point. But then again, who the fuck are you?
That's an interesting argument, Senator. Care to back it up with a source? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Drop it on MSN now. Um,
MSN. Those were the days.
those were the good old days, where the only worry was whether or not the bully man of the chat rooms would be coming down to
Un- un-
bully us.
until we became him.
We became the bullies. We did. We did. Luckily, there was the internet, so it's fine. No big
Man,
deal.
do you ever?
You're allowed
I
to do that.
I think I probably mentioned this to you every fucking time we talk, but like, thank fucking God that that was like a Java, Flashbox chat room that is gone from the internet forever.
Self-contained.
Like,
Yeah.
if the things I said there were available in tweets right now, I would never. I would be unemployed and lonely for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Oh, and the
Oh,
same would even apply to, because I guess our generation, we are coming in at the beginning of camera phones, but they certainly weren't around when we were like 10 or 11, maybe
yeah, yeah,
towards 16, 17, 18. Um, and social media apps as well, where everything is or websites as it would have been back then, that everything is essentially a big receipt that you can get.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I am so glad, because it's not even a case where we were like, not woke or woke, because that just didn't exist back
Oh
then.
yeah, yeah.
It was just we were young and slightly ignorant, as everybody is. I guess, as you said, the only difference is I don't have a tweet when I was 15 years old saying something horrendous that some people are doing now that they're gonna have 5, 10 years from now. Because you'll be able to look up the entire history of someone, or a vile comment that you left, or something horrific that you might have
Kind of funny
said in the
that
moment. So
I think
yeah,
we were both like genuine Alex Jones fans back then too. Like actually thought that he
yeah,
was correct, like that
yeah.
9/11
We were
wasn't inside, like all of this type of thing.
we were part of that crew of like, he's not right about most things, but this thing and this thing, he's completely 100% on.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. You eventually grow up a little bit, and you sort of go. The problem is about these big, in my opinion, just my opinion, by the way, I made that clear. The problem is about big conspiracies, or big, the ideas of that much secrecy, is that like so many people would have to know to begin with in
Yeah.
order for something to happen. that it just wouldn't make sense because you'd have to let like the people on the lowest rungs for the fucking janitor of whatever corporation they're like, we do satanic rituals here. But the cleaners go in there in the morning and he's just gonna see what, a dead body. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
I love
Aren't you?
the cognitive
Huh?
dissonance of like you know, the way they're always, it's the same people who are like, yeah, fucking even the post office should be privatized, everything should be, government is bad at fucking everything, but then simultaneously the government covers up everything and they control every lever of society. It's like, okay,
That's right, and that is the Joe Biden problem, which is so Joe Biden is both sleepy. He's got a drug addict son who he leaks stuff to that worked with Ukraine and is
mhm.
on this side of history, whatever fucking they want to apply that for. But also, he's this like incredibly concentrated killing machine who just wants
Yeah,
to shut down Republicans and free speech, and he has all these like liberal blue hair people that work for him, and they read every word that you say, and you can't say this. So which is it? Is it, you can't be both shit and incredible the same time, because you're right, because it's always like government shit, government sucks, government never does anything, government has total control over us, government tells you, oh wait a
yeah,
minute, how can they be both? um but yeah, yeah, it's always it's a hilarious little juxtaposition.
yeah.
um what else did you want to speak about in this demented year? Have you got any more
Wow, we've been at it for a while.
bombshells?
I feel
I've just
okay.
noticed the time.
Yeah. Here,
We can
okay.
do a part two if you want.
Nah, fuck that. You know, it's taken us 12 months to get around to doing this one, I think. um, I'll say this: the Titan submersible thing, that was a big event.
Oh, those
I
rich people that died.
Yeah. So this is, I
That's
find,
my version of events. I don't know if
but
that's
this,
yours, but
everyone on Twitter was like, haha, this is really funny, because the billionaires died, and you know, other people would be like, yeah, but like, there's a fucking kid in there, and then
a young
even you
man,
shouldn't
yeah.
even have to be like that though. You should just be like, yeah, these are human beings, but
At that point, they are human beings first. You need to put that aside. You know what I mean?
but
If it
like
was even
who like so like they're like they have assets worth $1 billion. Like that doesn't mean that they fucking walked into like some field in Cambodia and beheaded people to get like, yeah, and so this it
yes, they
came
did.
it
Don't
became
lie. They
it
all
became
did it.
this big talking point was hope this helps. Billionaires are ontologically evil, and there's no amount of harm you can do to them. Hope that helps. And it's just like,
That's a Hassan tweet right there, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. Or
That
just
sounds like it.
there's no ethical way to become a billionaire. Like just by virtue of being a billionaire, you're a horrible person. And I really want to know, if Taylor Swift was on the submersible, are we saying the same thing? Because like she's a billionaire and she's given like $100 million in bonuses to her fucking drivers on the tour that she's on right now. She seems to be like pretty fucking ethical as far as like, you know, the inheritance of money goes, or the, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, she's
is
amassed a good old chunk of change, let's say.
yeah, like
Yeah.
she's literally a billionaire right now, and she is doing everything like in a really good way. And if she was on the submersible, would that be funny just because she's a billionaire? Like, fuck you, okay?
Her
It's not
and
funny when,
Beyonce and who's the guy who's like, he's like an actor guy who's like a massive activist, but he's quite rich as well. I forget his name. Doesn't matter. And like, I don't know, Susan Sarandon as well. And they're all very rich people. If you just strip away how they got the money, blah, blah, blah. And they're all in that thing. It's like, yeah, well, all musicians, all pop singers are evil. Therefore, this is amazing. Yeah, it's a little bit morbid, isn't it?
whenever you are like categorizing people by their evil, like in like lefty Twitter circles usually, so it's just like, okay, we'll sort by wealth, which makes like everybody over this threshold, let's say $900 million, they're all evil.
Scum.
But
Yeah.
also we have to exclude athletes, musicians, actors, like, from like, it's just so fucking stupid. But the point
Yeah.
is, like, this fucking little tiny vessel that they were on to go view the Titanic, like, it just fucking, you know, whatever, it crushed and turned them into paste. And people on Twitter just had such a fun time laughing about it, and it made me like really unsettled in some way. Like, I don't know. There was like a fucking 19-year-old who didn't even want to go and was only doing it so that he could spend time with his dad. Like, I just,
Yeah.
I really feel like making a joke out of that event is just so like, I don't know. I guess like I'm getting older. I feel like I've made tons of dark jokes like this before, and they are for some reason okay in my head. And I don't know what it is about this one that makes it like so kind of insidious or like disturbing to me, but it
That's
just
because you know
does.
yourself, isn't it? You know that you are not wishing, actual death upon certain people. You're just cracking wise. I suppose then with other people, it is you sort of going, well, maybe they do probably believe that in general. They just
Yeah.
happen to find an opportunity to air it, as opposed to being that person that makes jokes around everything.
Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah,
know,
that's true. Like
it's
it is different. Like
it's a
if
little
I in
little tweak.
our conversations, like me and you talking privately, like if I make a joke or I say the word retard or whatever, like that's not quite the same thing as if I tweet it out to the whole world,
Right?
like
Yeah.
it's we all
Yeah.
know that like what my values and principles are, and if I'm using a word like
Yeah.
that, it's got to be for comedic effect or part of the joke. It's not I'm not
Yeah.
fucking, you can't just be like, oh, so you're ableist, I see, like, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like, yeah, I just make those jokes in private, I guess, but like making them publicly and then acting when you get called out on it to act oblivious is very, or like, your behavior has been called out on, so you're justifying it with this thing that like, oh, actually when human beings amass a certain amount of wealth, they're automatically
They should die
yeah,
in boats.
exactly. Like, yeah. So it's just real, like,
Yeah.
fucking stupid. Like, if you do something wrong or you make a dark joke or whatever, and someone says, "Here, that's in bad taste," just fucking own it. Just fucking say,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, sorry. Like, I found it funny because I'm disconnected from the situation." And like,
Because I'm going for this take on it. I
yeah,
actually didn't, it isn't my actual, but again, but this is the problem about having information that anyone can read anywhere, which is the
yeah,
classic thing about again, Facebook less, Instagram less, as you said, because you can kind of have that more tailored to who you like and who you follow. But with Twitter, it's like there's that. This isn't an original thought. I think I read this somewhere, which you can go, "I love bread," and somebody can tweet you 2 seconds later going, "What? So you're saying you fucking hate pancakes, you piece of shit?" And you're like,
yeah,
"Wait,
yeah, yeah.
I just said I like bread. I don't. I didn't have an opinion on that. Oh, you don't have an opinion on pancakes? Well, how can you talk about bread being good? You haven't tried any pancakes yet."
No, but like, even if
Oh
you
God, we're now into a whole thing.
if you just tweet like, "Oh, everyone should check out digestive chocolate biscuits. They're so good," and then someone will quote tweet it. Someone with like a fucking, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but someone will quote tweet it to all of the. Yeah, I'm not gonna anyway,
Yeah,
and they'll be like,
move on.
and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, suggesting a type of biscuit that not everyone can afford. Wow, that's so classist." And then everyone will be like,
Yeah.
fucking, prowling through my fucking past tweets to find incidents of where I didn't. It's just
Where you ate something else, or you said something about something else, and then quote tweeting that, and then you see like a quote to you from like 2012, and you're like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
yeah.
Yeah, it's just odd, and again, it might change case to case, person to person, because it also feels like Hitler, Mussolini, I don't know, Saddam Hussein, and Osama bin Laden in that flotation tank, and they all died and got crushed. You go, well, maybe the world is a better place because we've got a history of actions and
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
they
yeah, for
said and
sure.
did. But just being a billionaire, I do think to some extent that being a billionaire is a sign that something's gone a bit weird as a society. But I am applying the very basic version of being a billionaire, which, to be fair, people like you have not called me out on, but made a good point against it, which is to say they don't go around going, "Hello, I have $100 billion
In
in
my
my
bank
bank right
account,
now."
yeah.
It's not liquid, as they say. It's in stocks, it's in investments, it's in property, it's in staff, it's in people.
Yeah, it's
That
just like
money is just what's making business exist. That money is not just like their doll money that you just get into your account. And
yeah.
you're like, "Hey, billion fucking dollars."
But
So,
even like like Taylor Swift is a billionaire now, and like
mm,
I don't think there are any good arguments that she doesn't deserve that, right? Like,
mm,
sure, like it is a lot of money, of course, absolutely. But like, what? Like, why would she not deserve the same thing as like Messi? Like, Leo Messi has accumulated like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, does he not
That's
deserve
right.
that by being arguably the greatest football
The
star ever?
yeah,
Like,
the single best human to have has ever kicked the football. And then
yeah,
you can argue and say footballers are paid too much. They might be, but the
sure, it's not
footballers
his
do not
fault.
dict. It
Like,
doesn't dictate the terms. He didn't invent wages. He didn't invent Saudi Arabia coming in with astronomical wages. The Premier League, at its inception, did exactly what Saudi Arabia did just last year.
yeah,
They went around Europe and around the world and just pickpocketed the best players by going, you can listen, these days, you can play for a championship side, a West Brom, a Sunderland, right? And you can earn as much as you would if you played for like a Braga or a Victoria de Guimarães. So let's say not the top three in Portugal.
hmm
And that's the second division in England.
even
So
more, I would say. I
probably
honestly,
more.
I would say the West Brom wage budget is probably like 3 times higher than the second team you mentioned that I'm not gonna
Yeah,
fucking
Braga.
pronounce because no,
Victoria de
fuck you.
Guimarães.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Victoria
They're
Beckham.
related to Victoria Beckham. They're related to Guimarães that plays for for Newcastle.
Ah, yes,
Is
of
his team.
course. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, it's that exactly. So there's a hypocrisy coming from the Premier League when they say everyone's going over there, but I guess everyone sees it for their own filters. But no,
Mm.
you're right. Like the being a billionaire thing, I'm not going to sit here and defend the idea of, as you said, like Taylor Swift. So what? Because she's really successful, or Michael Jackson when they made a shitload of money, you just stop earning money at one point? That's
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
No?
Like it's
How
just
does that work?
but when they make these arguments, like musicians are always exempt anyway because they know that it's like a bullshit thing to say, or maybe they don't know
Yeah.
that, maybe they do. But like in any event, I
Yeah.
just found the commentary around the submersible to be like,
Mm,
I just didn't like it. It really rubbed me the wrong way, and
dark-sided. A
yeah,
bit baying for blood, chop their heads off sort of energy.
yeah. Like I'm trying to think like if like the Queen of England was on it when it went, like I still don't think I would even find that funny. Um,
Maybe you might. Maybe you might. But and then it would hit to go, wait a minute, this is someone's mother. This is a person. You know what I mean?
that's what I
It's
was like when she
yeah.
died. I tweeted some joke that like only I got about that.
But joke in my head's hilarious.
It was
Oh
like
wait, it's not hilarious elsewhere.
how what was she, 96 or something? I think
96, yeah.
I think I tweeted like 96 is no age to be beheaded by a brave samurai warrior or something like this.
She actually committed seppuku.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think for some reason, like I do think it would be really funny because the whole title, like of queen and the idea of being a monarch, is so ancient that like if it were some kind of like a noble ritual, like that's kind of the same level of, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just, oh geez, I
Or
just
like
said a lot of
when
words. For that.
Stalin, I know it's not the same as the Queen, but when Stalin died, as I believe the movie Death of Stalin talks about,
Hmm.
he only died because nobody wanted to touch him. Because as he was like dying of his heart attack, people were like, "What if he gets really angry when we like
Wow.
revive him because we like touched him and shit?" So yeah, they just let him go into cardiac arrest. I could be totally wrong, but at least the movie sort of portrayed it that way. Um, but yeah, no. So I think, and even just a side note on Taylor Swift, right? Weird thing about her is, I don't know much of her music, but it's very much like if you're a teenage girl, boy, he, she, they, them, let's include everybody, all the way to people in their sort of 30s or 40s. Like she seems to connect with many generations, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
the fandom that she has is really weird because she has the fandom that's usually reserved for a group, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
So the Spice Girls, where you'd have like 5 people, so everyone, everyone's got their favorites, or like Boyzone, or that era of music where you could be like, oh no, my favorite's that one, so I love that song more than these songs. That's her Ginger Spice, let's say. That's the song that she does. It's
mm,
weird seeing we love this group or these people all filtered through one person, not through a collective, like a band or something like that. Oh, that was my favorite member. It's really odd that certain people be like, oh, I love her in this era. I think her tour is called the Eras Tour, so presumably she's
yeah.
also giving cadence to that idea of being like, hey, these are the songs that 2007 me played, 2012, 2014.
That
Um,
is honestly the reason why, is because her she kind of, in a weird way, has the back catalog of like three different types of artists together.
she was
Like
country
she
originally,
was
yes.
country, and then she was like she. I feel like 1989, that record kind of like really defined what the landscape of pop music was gonna be like
Yeah.
around that time. And then like her more recent stuff, like Midnight's, that record is like, there are songs on that that remind me of like Sky Ferreira and stuff. And then the
Hmm.
two that she did before that, Evermore and Folklore, they remind me a little bit of like The National, like that kind of thing. It's like
Hmm.
she's in like a weird she is like, at both times, she is like her generation's Bruce Springsteen and her generation's I don't know, like a big pop
Madonna.
singer. Nah, Madonna would be too. Madonna had too many different kind of gimmicks and stuff to
Yeah,
compare, I
yeah.
would
She
say.
kept reinventing herself.
Yeah, yeah,
That's for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say like Celine Dion, but I don't know if um like
But no, but that's
Celine.
maybe what it is. Like one album is like this is the Madonna type album, this is the Celine Dion type album, this is the Bruce Springsteen type album. So yeah, so all of that, all of these bits of pop, as you said, it's like it's just odd, as I said, just seeing
Do you
it
know?
distilled into one human,
Do you know what she's like?
not a group.
She's like a mixture of Bruce Springsteen and Cher. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's the best way I can describe it, because like
Yeah.
her and for anyone who's like I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, and so I really do think it's a fair comparison if you listen to like Evermore and Folklore are such story driven narratives with like really like nice lyrics that fit together. Like she's not as good of a lyricist as Springsteen, but like the songs have the same exact you feel like you're inside
Energy.
of them. Like you feel like you can
Yeah.
picture exactly what she's singing about. They're so lifelike.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be walking down the street in one of her songs. Like it's kind of
It's
yeah,
quite
that's
impressive.
yeah, exactly. But then I also I don't think her fandom is like, I suppose I don't understand fandoms in general for the likes of like One Direction or whatever. The K-pop bands have an insane following as well, like Blackpink and
Yes,
stuff
they
like that.
do. Yes, they
Um,
do. And that, by the way, I was going to compare it to that. Was it called BTS or
yeah, BTS, yeah, yeah, yeah.
BTC? Yeah, they have like 800 members, and and obviously by the time they reach 20, because it's South Korea, you're seen as a has been, so you gotta fuck off.
Or
Um,
they get conscripted, don't they? There's one of those guys is gone in the military now. In
oh,
was
of
it
course, there's that too. Yeah.
Was it BTS where like are they split up because like two of them are in the military, or I could have that completely wrong because I'm a
But
boomer.
it might be one of these types of groups because there's loads of them. There's loads of female-based ones, and then but I certainly know that not just because of the conscription thing. Obviously, that's gets in the way, but it's
Yeah.
also the idea that like so before it'd be like okay, so your peak as a pop musician, this sex appeal, which in Korea is slightly different because it's like not about having like a big booty, maybe like it is in this side of the
It's
world,
about
but
looking the same as every other person. Apparently
it's
that's
that
like a big like they have
porcelain doll type of
yeah,
beauty,
yeah, they
you
want
know,
like they're like
clean.
what you call it, they're like surgeons who like they specialize in making you look like there's like one archetypal like
Hmm.
ideal sort of like Korean person, and surgeons will get you to look as close to that as possible and stuff.
Men and women, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's
Um,
pretty interesting.
and it used to be like, okay, night 25, you might seen as passive, but I think these days it's literally like 16 to 19 is like your peak period, and then maybe one member breaks off on their own and does their own
I
thing.
never date anyone older than that. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. Good. Yes. So
Uh,
wonderful. But yeah, it's just fascinating. I so somebody I know, they work at the cinema, and they were saying like, oh, when the Taylor, because obviously she re-released like a DVD that
mhm.
you can go see at the cinema, which yes, a bit of a cash grab, but I've heard of worse. And they were talking about how like there's a load of shrieking teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
fucking little girls, how fucking loud, and they're like marking out and giggling, and I'm like, well, I've been I haven't been, but I've seen what it's like at like Star Wars when the new Star Wars comes out. And all these
Yeah.
fucking nerds sit there clapping at the intro. Yay! They did the thing. And then they all high five each other and they all talk about their little favorite fucking space alien and which one fucked the other one and which one's married to the other one. And that is the exact same energy for me as the teenage girl shrieking and crying and acting emotional because it's something that's directed at them and something they actually
Nah,
like. Yes,
dude, I
it is
have it.
marketed at them.
I have the
But
answer. I
yeah,
have the comparison. Have you ever watched the Royal Rumble in a pub? Like where everyone is there to watch
no.
the Royal Rumble? Oh
I've
my
never watched
God.
wrestling in public because I'd rather get shot. No, I'm kidding.
Dude,
Go on.
I went to I want to say the Bowling Green pub in Leicester City for the Royal Rumble when AJ Styles debuted, and
Okay.
the people were like, I have never heard such screams coming from men in my entire life when AJ walked out. It was fucking insane. Yeah. So
I've heard stories about people. This is from Reddit, so to be fair, I'm just co-opting shit now. But I have heard stories about how, like, do you remember the era of hating John Cena?
yes.
Which I'm ashamed to be. I took
I
part in that
I
era.
believe we were the ringleaders.
I believe we were there with a pitchfork saying "scream." But this guy was talking about how he went to a wrestling show, not wrestling show. Sorry, he went to watch wrestling at a pub or a bar or like a little theater or something like that. And he talked about how, like, when John Cena came out, two of these grown ass men stood up and turned their backs on the screen. Like,
Oh
how
my God.
pathetic is that? We're not looking at you, John Cena. Fuck you, John Cena. Cena sucks. Like, he can't, mate. He can't hear you. He doesn't care. He's doing fine. But it was just so funny. It's that. It's exactly that. Yeah, when you go watch wrestling with people, and it's just people. No, I have no problem with it. It's just it seems to me that always seems to be picked upon when it comes to females or girls or people that like
Yeah.
more girly things and being
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
"Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they won't shut the fuck up about this show or this film," and you're like, "You're exactly the same to your specific, bit of nerdiness." So it's always just jarring when people tend to have this weird, "Oh yeah, they're all like screaming about Taylor Swift and singing her lyrics," and you're like, "Yeah." Have you not seen the male version of that? People go into football games and then they're singing fucking Wham because it has the name of a footballer in the song. It is a bunch
Yeah.
of grown ass men, wearing the same clothes singing a fucking song. How lame is that? So
Yeah.
back off, people. That's all I'm saying. Leave Taylor alone. Leave
It's
Britney
true.
alone.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Thank you,
That guy was right.
Chris Crocker, right?
Yeah, probably now a woman,
No,
female. Was it
no,
still
I
a man?
think I actually can't remember, and I did recently read about them and think no, I'm not gonna commit to in case
Stick
I'm
to
wrong.
them.
Yeah.
I stick to them and be polite. Yeah, so just to wrap up, though, I want to just quickly talk about, since we are on the topic of wrestling, just quickly touch upon CM Punk
Ah,
and
yes.
what a tumultuous year and a half that he's had. So
Yeah.
the story actually starts in 2022, September of 2022, where he was wrestling for just to fill people in. I mean, I know most people who probably listen to this might know who CM Punk is, but I'll just do the whole story quite quickly. He came back from retirement after being away for 7.5 years for a company called AEW, who are competition to WWE, but they do not present the same type of wrestling show as WWE. They're like a mix of WCW in the 90s and ECW and a little bit of New Japan. And over time, CM Punk felt like backstage people were taking the piss out of him and being stupid and silly, which culminated in one of the most unbelievable post-match press conferences you'll ever see in any sport. I put up any UFC, anything anybody's ever done press conference-wise, because it was CM Punk sat alongside Tony Khan, openly complaining about how shit the people in the company are. He
Yeah.
called a man a fuckhead. He said he's old and he's tired and he fucking hates working with children. he kept talking about these these cupcakes that he bought from somewhere
In Chicago. They're from a
in
Chicago
Chicago
bakery. Yeah.
bakery, which had loads of comments to do with the incident. And then he does this press conference. And by the way, if people haven't seen it, just please check it out on YouTube. If you just put CM Punk press conference, watch him sat next to the owner of the company, sort of nodding along as he criticizes the company top to bottom. He was frustrated, to say the least. He then goes backstage, gets into a huge fight with said people that he was complaining about. He has a torn bicep, so he was going to be gone anyways. He gets suspended. 6 months pass. We're in June of 2023. They create a wrestling show just for him to stay away from those people.
To keep him away from everyone else, yeah.
Keep him away. He debuts and he says something along the lines of some blah, 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 blah. I'm not working with no counterfeit bucks, which is a shot at the young bucks who are the executive presidents who he said were trying to undermine him and trying to have too much influence backstage. Not 3 months pass and there's just a string of backstage incidents. He's getting into fights again. He particularly he got fucked over by the company when they did the big show in Wembley where he came in and nobody gave him a driver, so he had to just get on the tube and ask the wrestling fans how to get to Wembley, which is fucked because he's a huge star. I couldn't imagine WWE doing that for The Undertaker. Just find your way there, mate. You know? A fellow wrestler called Jack Perry then talks about how he wants to do a spot in a different match which involves real glass as opposed to fake, what are they called? Sugar glass, I think?
Yeah, sugar glass, yeah.
That's it, yes. And if you want to know what real glass does, look up Bill Goldberg trying to smash a car with real glass, which almost cut his fucking arm off because he cut an artery instead of using a pipe and fake glass. So the effects are quite bad. But then this other guy, during a match, Jack Perry, looks at the camera and goes, "This is real glass. Go cry me a river," which makes Punk furious. At the Wembley show, they have a fight backstage. He's threatening to quit and walk out on that company, AEW. He allegedly puts Tony Khan, what he quotes and says, a position that he felt threatened. His safety was threatened, and he's never felt that before at a wrestling show, despite going to see wrestling for 30 years. CM Punk is fired on the spot, which is hilarious, because the following week, they had a pay-per-view in Chicago called All In.
Yeah.
Which is like the ring mat had, the logo with the stars and the taped fist with the X. That's what the ringside still had, with no references to the man who everyone came to see.
Yeah.
Everybody then signs NDAs. Nobody can say a fucking word about it. Everybody thinks at that point, he's done. CM Punk's done. We'll never see him in wrestling again. That was his last run. He had incredible matches with MJF, incredible promos, but he felt disrespected by the young people there, the Young Bucks in particular, and Kenny Omega. And then, November 2023, he returns to the company that he walked out of and quit 10 years ago because they were trying to kill him by constantly having him wrestle while the man was literally falling apart. He had concussions, he had staph infections, he shat himself in the ring, he sued the doctor in that wrestling company. He's now back in WWE, and he is just gold. He is just the best promo man the wrestling business has ever seen. He is officially feuding with people in the same way that he did in AEW, which is like, I'm not defending this against you. I'm protecting my company from you.
Yeah.
Because he's like seen as an egomaniac and stuff. But I just wanted to talk about it because I don't think an individual has ever had a higher profile year in wrestling that wasn't somebody who died or did steroids or both. We're talking backstage politics, fighting, quitting, getting an injury, coming back, quitting again, getting fired, and then coming back to the company that you swore you hated, it would never work for again. Has been a roller coaster with that man, but I'm here for it. I love it.
He's such a draw. Like, he's so electric on the microphone and everything. I've seen, I don't really watch it ever, but I've seen all of his promos from like Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like it's
stuff
exciting.
with MJF was incredible.
Yeah, it was really good.
Is any of his promos that he can talk to you like for 20 minutes and you're just like captivated. That press conference, have you seen that?
Oh
of
yeah,
something.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most captivating half an hour of anything. You can put a wrestling match against that, and you still be listening to him instead of watching a match,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
the whole point of
like
the business.
yeah, that's like I remember I bought the fucking the episode where he returned like on AEW, I
Collision,
mean. Yeah.
yeah, on Collision, yeah.
Yeah, you can like buy them on there's like a
To
network over
fight?
here.
Oh,
Yeah,
you've got your own.
well, yeah, but they have a partnership with Fight, so you can just go on
Yeah.
there and pay for like you can stream anything on it basically, and you can just pay as you go, which I think is a really good way of doing it. But
Oh, I think so. The
yeah,
opt-in thing is amazing. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I fucking watched it. It was class. Did not I might have watched maybe his debut match was against Darby Allin, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think I
Mm-hmm.
watched that, and then I don't think I watched any other match he ever had in AEW. But I watched that press conference, and it was just incredible.
It's just gold. The whole thing is gold. I've never
Yeah,
seen again. He's so well spoken. Not one word is out of place, even though he's ranting, which normally
yeah,
leads
yeah.
people to go, I don't know, maybe, And the funniest thing is, if you go back and rewatch it, it's like the press conference starts, and he's like, "Which one of you's asking me about Scott Colton?" Who's Colt Cabana, who was his best friend. They
Well, but
fell
that
out.
guy, he's got a bank account with his mother, so that tells me
Mother.
all I need to
Which
know
he,
about him.
yeah. I actually thought that's quite endearing, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I
just
thought so
me,
too. Yeah.
to make sure that Ma has access to the money. But the guy then goes, "No, I didn't ask you about Scott Colton." He's like, "Well, I'm going to talk about it anyways.
Yeah.
I've already got this pre-prepared. I don't give a shit whether or not you even want to bring it up. I'm just going to talk about it."
Yeah.
Fucking loved it. As always with these things, breaking it down, he's right on some things, he's wrong on many others. It's just perspective. But I think just, I like to put this as a sort of like a message to everyone for 2024 is that, hell can freeze over.
Mm.
Um, so maybe if people have fallen out with people, haven't spoken to people in a while, maybe try and mend those bridges. Um, you know, might be nice to reopen certain friendships, because if that man can come back to that wrestling company that he was there before, anything can happen.
It might be nice to reopen certain wounds. Sorry, I don't know.
Time wounds, all heals. That's a
Exactly.
Queens of the Stone Age lyric. There you are. Um,
Yeah.
but hey, should we get the hell out of here?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty real.
7 hours.
Yeah.
So it's
Um,
been.
what? So I guess should we have like a real quick anything you're planning on doing in 2024 resolution or any shit like that
Um,
that you could say in
I
30
want to
seconds?
kill. I want to kill billionaires.
Ah,
After
beautiful.
all that,
Have I got a
um,
submersible to sell you?
if I got something to sell you, brother, do I have anything that I want to do in 2024? No, I just think that just stay on the same path that I'm in.
Yeah.
Um, if anything, I'd like to take 2024 as the opposite of having goals and specific purposes and just try to go more with the flow rather than
Mm,
thinking I should be doing this. Oh, because I'm not doing X. I'm not like a worthy person. I think it's more the opposite of that. It's more just being content with what you've got rather than consistently thinking, oh, I need to do this, otherwise I'm not worthy. So
yeah.
it's like a self-reflective one, a little bit of introspection, but not too much, as we said. I don't want to open that up too much. But how about you?
Um, I guess mm, I've been
Peace in the
wanting
Middle East.
to. Yeah,
What do
I
you
want to
want?
bring peace to the Middle East. But I want to. But I'm gonna do it with weapons. So
Yes, yes,
no,
yes. Nuclear.
there's one little thing I have been really wanting to do. And I wanted to do it this year. I got the idea to do it this year, but I haven't like properly started it. Is I want to make candles. I saw this thing on YouTube of a guy who was making candles out of cans.
Mm-hmm.
Like so he turns the can into a candle.
Mm-hmm.
And I have decided I want to do that. So that's just like a little crafty thing that I want to do because
Hell yeah.
I haven't done anything crafty in like fucking I don't know 20 years maybe however old I
Yeah.
am. But yeah, so I want to give that a go and see how that works out. So That's my only like resolution-y kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I guess the other one, I guess, is someone might just try and be happy and try and enjoy things, you know,
Yeah.
rather than consistently overthinking. But I'll tell you this though, because I started doing painting this year, like painting bits and having my room, because I wanted my room to be thematic rather than just bits of wood. So I, got the same colors and everything. Not only does it do wonders for your mental health, you're not looking at screens, you're actually
Yeah.
in the moment,
Yeah.
and it's nice to do that. So yes, I highly encourage you to use perhaps one of your Deftone beer cans that you have.
That is the
Perhaps turn
exact
them.
plan. Yeah. Yeah.
My man, that's
That's it.
very nice.
Yeah. They are very cool looking cans, so
I'm sure they are. Um, and the boys will be proud of you. The band, I'm sure they'll be like, "This is a true deft
yeah.
head,
I expect
a
them
true
to
tone head."
congratulate me. Yeah. A true
Yeah,
toner.
it's a true
True
toner.
printer ink, this guy.
Trona for life, for life, for
Yeah.
life. Nice, nice. I guess we should also wish everybody a happy 2024.
Ah, fuck 'em.
May it be a decent one at least. Yeah, may it be full of joy and lots of alcohol if you're not an alcoholic, because then obviously I shouldn't say that. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
One
And
message
lots of
there.
heroin, unless you're a heroin addict, in which
Unless
case.
you're addicted,
Yeah.
fucking take it back. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, nice.
Yeah. Alrighty. Happy New Year,
Alrighty.
folks.
Happy new 2024. No bums steal my food this year. That's another resolution. No homeless people stealing my food this year. That would be nice.
Amen, brother.
Hey little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go and leave you all alone? No, no, I got a bad desire. Whoa, I'm on fire. Tell me, baby, is he good to you? Can I do to you the things that I do? Oh no, I can take you higher. Whoa, I'm on fire. Whoa, I'm on fire. Sometimes it's like someone took a knife, baby, as you know, and cut a 6-inch valley through the middle of my soul.